or for America is seeing this and not going and directly addressing it with the guy in charge.
Yeah.
It's phenomenally moronic and obtuse that no one in his orbit is like, sir, no, you can't do this. Sir, this is not going to go well. Sir, what about that promise that you were going to be a transitionary president? Sir, if we don't do this, this is going to be a weakness for the party. He saw the polling. He saw the projected map. He knew what was going to happen. We have the story that he was laying in bed with COVID while Donald Trump was surviving one of the assassination attempts.
First one, yeah.
Yep. So that was the difference, where Donald Trump's out there and people are shooting at him. He's bedridden. That crystallized it supposedly in his mind. And now he is trying to go back and reinvent history. I have a lot of critique to those in his circle that didn't come to him sooner, because he would have gotten frog stomped. It would have been, for me, it would have been a bet in Vegas as to, is his loss going to be larger or smaller than Mondale to Reagan?
Right.
That's how bad he was setting up to lose. And the fact that he comes out and says, could have won. Shut up. Just stop it. Stop it. If you could have won, you would have stayed in the race, because nobody would have pushed you out. And we got a story you pulled that I saw too about
Jill Biden.
Yeah. Jill's getting the claws out. Yeah. And that's too. It's like, but she knew too. And sick and tired of this. You know, if people know about when you're into fantasy and science fiction, things like that, the idea of retconning. The idea of going back and rewriting the previous lore, saying all the story that we told you, now we're going to retcon it. We're going to go back and we're going to change everything. That's what they're doing. Biden and his supporters are trying to retcon this crap, and it's awful. It's stupid.
Well, one of the more interesting parts of it was this moment where he complains about the oligarchy and billionaires running the country. Okay.
Yeah.
And you sit there going, wasn't Kamala Harris kind of chosen by a bunch of billionaires? It's not like you guys went through a whole process to have the everyday working man choose who the Democrat nominee was going to be. And so, and just a week prior to that, giving the Freedom Award to George Soros's son. Like, come on. Like, both sides have their bills.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sheldon Addison's wife got the same award. So, yeah, we hand out awards to people that write the big checks. Again, here's the idea. When they're having these big donor, during the election campaign, when they have rallies for average people. But when they're going out there and they're raising money, it's the $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 a plate. That's where they're raising the cash.
Yes.
That's where the stroke is. And so for either party to pretend is just, they think we're stupid. They think both sides think they can come out and go, no, we're of the average person. My left foot. Yeah,
well,
sure.
Speaking of thinking we're stupid, Kyle Clark last night was wondering, do a majority of Americans care if billionaires run the country? I just happen to point out that Tigna, the company that owns Channel 9, is worth $3 billion.
Yeah.
So our news,
and did anyone,
news companies are owned by billion-dollar companies.
Did anybody ask Sport Cook Boy who he voted for in the last gubernatorial election? Because I'm pretty sure that our governor has piles of cash. Like, he has Scrooge McDuck piles of cash, where he can have a vault and swim. He and Marlon could do backstrokes over the Benjamins the entire morning and be just fine. Yeah, they have more money than any of us can even comprehend having in our bank account. Yet, we're worried about the billionaires running the country. Has he been asleep for the past 20 years?
It's only the other side's billionaires that are really bad.
Exactly.
So here's what I'd love to hear from our listeners. Did you listen to Joe Biden's farewell speech? It was a historic moment.
If you did,
last and final speech. What did you get out of it? I sat there watching that, just being reminded of what the last 4 years were. His mumbling, bumbling, stumbling through his speech, going, thank God I ain't going to have to deal with that anymore. And look, I'm not a perfect speaker either, but it just continues to get worse and worse for the guy. He needs to saunter off. So what did you get out of it? Maybe it was inspirational to you. Maybe it was the closing of a guy that 50 years of political service from where was he in Pennsylvania? I forget. Starts with an S.
Delaware, isn't it? Or no?
Well,
Scranton.
Scranton.
Scranton. Yeah, Scranton.
The little boy
yeah.
from Scranton. He starts off that way.
Yeah, that's where it starts
Just
off.
a little boy from Scranton. Can you believe he got here? Does it mark the end of 50 years of dedicated public service or 50 years of buffoonery? If you go back to the guy that tried to run for president in the 80s and was caught with plagiarism, remember Barack Obama saying there's nothing this guy can't mess up. What do you think? Joe Biden's final speech. We're going to be talking to White House correspondent about this in a second.
That's interesting. That's interesting you said that because of the idea, and I'm going to grab the phone, of his legacy. That if he would have bowed out early, maybe his legacy would be viewed differently.
Yeah. I think we got Jonathan Decker joining us here, and we'll get him up here in just a second. Billy's going to be connecting to the phones with him. Jonathan Decker, White House correspondent, is going to be with us in just a second, seeing what Billy is connecting and doing with. Let's go to Blake Olson real quick with the news. Well, actually, we'll get to
Want
Blake.
me to wait? Yeah, I can wait.
Yeah, we'll hold on
let
to you
John
for
get in
just
there.
a second. Rory O'Neill's going to be with us in the 7:00 hour as TikTok is preparing for a potential shutdown this weekend. Also, the FDA ban on red dye.
Yeah.
3 is here. We got Jonathan.
This is what,
Decker.
yeah. This is one of the things that so Blake and Jeff and I are here. We're going to program the station and the show right on the air right now here live. Jonathan has some complications in his time.
Great.
He has about 8 minutes with us right now.
Let's
so
get
if
to
we
it.
can, Blake, we're going to put you on.
Fantastic.
Yeah, go continue stretching. Blake's going to do the yoga and things right now and do that for us. We'd love you, Blake, and we'll get back to you in a second. Jonathan Decker's going to join us now live.
Yeah, Jonathan Decker, White House correspondent, analyzing President Biden's farewell address to the nation. Good morning, John. Thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, last night from the Oval Office, we heard from President Joe Biden, the 46th president, and it was a mix of a speech, covered a lot of ground, talked about his love for America, how America holds a special place around the world. He spoke about the accomplishments that he had over the course of his 4 years in office. He also warned about an oligarchy here in the United States. All of that covered in the course of a 20-minute speech from the Oval Office. Of course, the last time we heard from Joe Biden in the Oval Office was when he announced that he would not be running for president in 2024. And so this is the last time that we'll see Joe Biden deliver a primetime speech. He made it clear that he'll be there when Donald Trump is sworn in as America's 47th president. He'll be at the inaugural, which takes place on Monday.
Talking to John Decker, White House correspondent. Now, John, I want to get a little personal with you because you've sat in those briefing rooms. Can you kind of give us your reflection on Joe Biden's presidency, watching him live, sometimes in those press briefing rooms, being around the White House, from your perspective, and maybe comparing it to other presidencies? What are your thoughts, John Decker?
Well, he leads with the low approval rating. I remind people sometimes they forget when Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th president back in January of 2021, 4 years ago, he was sworn in with a 55% approval rating. Hard to believe. And there's been just a steady decline since that period of time. And so I think that, Joe Biden will have some regrets that it wasn't a two-term presidency, regrets in terms of decisions that he made over the course of his presidency. The last one-term president that we had was Jimmy Carter, who left the White House in 1981, and add Joe Biden to the list of one-term presidents. So I think that there's some disappointment on the part of President Biden and his administration with the way things worked out.
Talking to John Decker, White House correspondent. Now, from what I read on your Wikipedia page, you've been a White House correspondent since 1995. So you've watched some of these presidential transitions come through. Help our audience understand what's going to happen over the next few days, and how does the media and press adjust to a new administration?
Well, that's right. I've covered the White House since Bill Clinton's first term, so I've seen lots of transitions and lots of transfers of power take place, and that's what will happen on Monday when President Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th president. So I'll be with the president today. He's going to be making a speech to military leaders. That's one of the final speeches that he will deliver in the course of his presidency. And he's making one final trip. That will be on Sunday to South Carolina. And the reason why South Carolina, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that were it not for South Carolina, I don't think he would have been elected president. You remember the primary process of 2020. Joe Biden had lost in Iowa. He lost in New Hampshire. He came in fourth place in both places. But it was South Carolina that gave him a lifeline. And I think he wants to go back down to South Carolina to thank him for giving him that lifeline and putting him on the path to the presidency.
Talking to John Decker, White House correspondent, about Joe Biden's final White House address that took place last night. So on Monday, as the transition of power takes place, where does Joe Biden go? Is he heading back to Delaware? What do you expect his future to look like post-presidency?
Well, he is heading back to Delaware. That's his home. That's his home state. A few weeks ago, I asked President Biden that very question. He told me that he intends to go back to teaching at the University of Pennsylvania, where he taught prior to his time as president of the United States. That's my alma mater, by the way. And I think that he, based upon our conversation, is looking forward to that. He enjoyed his time at Penn. He enjoyed his time teaching. And, he's 82 years old. He's leaving public life. He will no longer run for any public office. And look, he's had a long career in public service, 50 years in public service, pretty remarkable career in politics.
John Decker, NBC White House correspondent, joining Jeff and Bill live. Now, if you don't want to enter this one, John, I understand. I'm looking for your impressions. I'm not necessarily looking for your direct opinion about Joe Biden, but your impressions of how Joe Biden is dealing with his last exit off stage. And my question is, do you feel that he is exiting the stage feeling triumphant? Or do you feel that he is exiting the stage just based on his mannerisms, the people around him? Or is he exiting the stage in somewhat a mode of defeat? What is the feeling around him right now?
Well, I can't get inside of Joe Biden's head, but, I think every president wants to be a two-term president, and he's not going to be a two-term president. He's leaving after one term. That's not what he anticipated. 1 year ago is not what he anticipated this period of time to be like, and he's not even passing the torch to his vice president. She lost as the Democratic nominee. So I think there's a lot of disappointment that exists right now in the Biden family with the way things turned out for them.
I kind of agree. And I know you can't jump into Biden's head, but I kind of agree that if he was going to write the script, this is not the ending to the movie that he would have imagined. I also want to talk to you about just kind of taking the temperature of the staff and the movements around the White House. What is your feeling of those involved in the White House right now? And the reason I ask is because 4 years ago, they walked through those doors at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue as the vanquishers of Donald Trump. Now they have to be the ones to welcome the person they were celebrating the exit of only 4 years ago. What is the feeling like around the staff and everybody surrounding the White House that you've interacted with?
Well, it's the same level of disappointment. Some of that staff moved over to work for Vice President Harris, and she, of course, lost. They're dealing with a lot. They're dealing with the loss that they encountered and dealt with back in November. They're dealing with, in some cases, trying to find a new job, and that sometimes is difficult. So, it's not a pleasant time at the White House for the people that work there, for the people that work for the Biden-Harris administration.
It is. I worked in Washington, D.C. for someone who had lost as well. It's not easy, so I have sympathy. John Decker, thank you so very much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on today. Have a great day.
Hey,
bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
John Decker, White House correspondent, a wealth of knowledge watching all those different transitions over the years between the different presidencies. And now I'm looking forward to this. The rumble tumble that's going to exist. Back under Biden, you had Peter Doocy, and Karine Jean-Pierre. And that was it. Now you're going to have the fourth part of government, which is really our press and media, now going right back and forth with the executive. And I think it just makes for much better.
Did you see the conversation between Jean-Pierre and Doocy on kind of the final White House briefing?
No.
That was really cool.
Was
because he kind of, it was an idea of, he's like, pushing back and he's at this and she's like, I appreciate the questions. You've always asked the questions. And she kind of like one last dance. And she said, I always appreciated the question. It was this nice little, okay, we've been enemies, but we're really just frenemies. The idea that this really isn't, a huge thing. We're going to go out in the street and fight over it. We disagree ideologically, but you were doing your job. I was doing my job, and we together enjoyed the dance. In fact, she pointed out that while she was complimenting the work and what he was doing, he started blushing. It was really cool. It was a neat moment to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and look at, they're not trying to shank each other in the hallways all the time. That this is more of a professional disagreement between two people that were doing their jobs. And I appreciated that moment. It was kind of cool to see. It was a neat little bit. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, let's check in on news with Blake Olson. News and comment. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning. If she didn't have a girlfriend, you never know. Maybe they could get together, those two.
Do you ever see that edited video of Elon Musk and AOC? Where it looks like they're having this lovely conversation.
I think a lot of that stuff goes on. When you see each other every day, it's kind of hard in person to hate each other with too much disdain. We see it all the time. Hey, by the way, John Decker, he is such a nice guy. Talking to you guys, do you ever notice when you finish up the interview what he says? It's really not. It sounds like Mr. Rogers.
Like, have a good day.
Yeah, he says, have a good day. And then he goes, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Such a good guy. He is, man. I mean, that's one reason he's been there since the mid-90s. I don't know him, but it seems like a good guy.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. Okay, we're going to pull back the curtain, and every once in a while, you get to see the man behind the curtain. John called us early today because we had him scheduled at around 30 to 35 after. Mm-hmm. And he called in this morning. He goes, listen, guys. He said, that's a mistake. They missed on my schedule. I have a hard at this time. I've got to be here. I got to make this broadcast. Okay. I can't do a 35. He said, but I got 10 minutes right now for you. If you can take me right now, I can do this. And so the cool thing is he looked at a mistake in the schedule and didn't go, oh, well. He called us and said he still wanted to honor his commitment to us and still want to spend time with us. So I do too. That was so cool. Yeah, that was really cool.
You don't have a lot of those in this business.
No, and especially once they find out I'm on the show here. That's no. A lot of people just delete that number, delete.
Hey, and by the way, Billy, when we heard the phone, you'd be proud of Jeff and I. We programmed it while you were talking to him.
Thank you so much. I sure appreciate that.
So you basically repeated what we said.
Oh, thank you.
Before you went to the interview.
Good.
Yeah, so we're learning. We're learning from you.
So you want to hear something kind of funny behind the scenes with John Decker? I'm just reading this now. So John Decker became an aide to U.S. Senator and Republican John Hines from Pennsylvania of the Hines family.
Wow.
And guess who beat John Hines in a primary to become the Republican senator from Pennsylvania?
Oh, who?
Ricky Santorum.
Oh, no way.
Oh, there's your connections.
There's a connection. We both worked for Republican senators from Pennsylvania.
Hey,
love it.
I know you're going to be doing the DCing out there. Maybe you and John should go get drinks or something while you're out there.
Yes.
That would be fun to share stories. You guys would have a lot of fun stories.
Yeah, we're expecting you to come back with plenty of stories, Jeff, by the way.
Yeah.
From DC.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if it's the same as it was when I was there. They used to have these blogs about the stupidity of interns on Capitol Hill that were just the funniest things to read, because you get these interns that get a job there and they now think that they can seriously call shots.
Oh yeah.
Right? Sure, and ruin people's careers. And the emails that would be like, you broke up with me. I'm going to make sure you never have a job in DC again.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. And they would write them from their official Senate emails or House emails.
Really?
And then all they would do is just forward the email onto this blog, and it would just blow up. And these kids would lose their jobs. It was kind of a fun town. It's a fun town.
Yeah, I can't wait to see your reflections on once you've been there. Now you go back. What's it like? What's the feeling like? That's going to be cool because you can't always go back home. Yeah, it's still there, but everything's different.
6 years there. It's where 3 of our 4 kids were born. And so we know the city. We had a lot of fun there, but I've always said DC is a fantastic city to work in for about 5 years of your life. And that's from 25 to 30.
Yeah.
When you can just go 80 hours a week into your job and you have no kids, you have no responsibility. You could just, and there's always stuff to do and you're around all the decision makers and all that stuff. But by the time you hit 30 and you actually want to hang out with your kids in the afternoon, you don't want to work. You don't live in that city anymore.
Oh, I bet not.
That's why you have to wonder about guys like Sleazy Joe. All right, guys.
50 years there, right? No, you have to, you end up
on.
sacrificing. You can't do it all.
Yeah. No,
you can
there's
either
no
be a
doubt.
major figure in politics or, you know,
Term limits,
raise your
term
kids and
limits.
spend time with them and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. 22 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 55 today. Our top story.
Thank you.
Who gets credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
Hold up. Wait a minute. He wants to take credit for it, but Israel says Hamas is backing out of some of its agreements in the hostage release deal announced less than 24 hours ago. The terrorists made a ceasefire and hostage deal with Israel on Wednesday that would include Hamas releasing dozens of hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Today, the Israeli Prime Minister's office released a statement claiming Hamas is reneging on the understandings and creating a last-minute crisis that is preventing an agreement. Victor Davis Hanson kind of predicted this on Wednesday.
I don't think it's a good deal for Israel because there's about 20% of Gaza they have to get into because that's where Hamas has fled to. And if they pull out and they release hundreds, if not thousands of terrorists, and it's a ceasefire, you know what's going to happen. They're going to get the UN, they're going to get the moderate Arab regimes to rebuild it, and then Hamas is going to threaten them, kill some, and take over again.
Stay tuned. Bondi, Pam Bondi, 007. She was great on Wednesday. Next up, Kash Patel, FBI.
I know that Kash Patel has had 60 jury trials as a public defender, as a prosecutor. He has great experience in the Intel Department, Department of Defense. I have known Kash, and I believe that Kash is the right person at this time for this job.
And I'm questioning you
when
right
you
now
do.
about whether you will enforce an enemies list that he announced publicly on television.
Oh, Senator, I'm sorry. There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
Crews are scrambling to get the upper hand on the LA fires as winds die down over Southern California. Red flag warnings expired for much of the LA area last night. What doesn't die down is the woke agenda of the fire department. This was a few days ago. And my computer just crashed now. But
It said big fire, scary fire, lots of fire, lots of fire. Run, get the water. Big fire, big fire. Was that it? Is that what they said? No.
If you had some paper and made it sound like flames.
Oh, here we go.
You know.
Yes, this is a big fire. Reporting
There
live
we
from the
go.
scene. Look at the
Thank
size of the flames.
Thank
Everybody,
you
be
very
careful.
much.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, now it's coming back.
Okay, good.
Sleazy Joe, you're the man. Sleazy Joe spoke to the nation in a television speech from the Oval Office last night, and he has a warning. I'm waiting for this thing to come up here. DJT is considering an executive order that would save TikTok from being banned. The Washington Post says the order would suspend enforcement of the TikTok law for up to 90 days. A Union Pacific train and a semi collided in Adams County on Wednesday near East Colfax and North Peterson Road. Authorities say the truck was traveling northbound when it collided with the train, causing the vehicle to flip over on its side. The train did not derail, and the driver of the truck was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. A developer is returning the former Park Hill Golf Course property to the city of Denver in exchange for land in Adams County. City officials say that the developer will get 145 acres a parcel of land near DIA in exchange for the former golf course. The city paid $13 million to the airport as a part of the deal. The former golf course will be converted into a park that is expected to open later this summer. Okay, Biden's warning.
That's why my farewell address tonight. I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous contradiction.
Okay, maybe not.
Although
Okay,
although
he's
just cutting off
warning
like
us
that for
about-
Biden, that's
That's
kind of
a
appropriate.
dangerous
Just
contradiction.
kind
True.
of
True.
In the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people.
Yeah,
And
like
dangerous consequences.
Yes, dangerous consequences. Like Nancy Pelosi and the Bidens and everyone there is not multi-millionaires, and
I almost
making tons
wonder,
of money.
since I heard that yesterday, Blake, if he
Uh-huh.
was actually talking in part about Nancy Pelosi and
I would hope
and,
so.
uh,
That's a good point. Maybe he was sending a message there, but I mean, they're all rich, they're all wealthy.
Yep.
Hey, news brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. All right, let's see if we can get the Wokety Woke fire department here from LA.
Good afternoon. I'm with the Los Angeles Fire Department. We're here at the Emergency Operations Center with some information for our fellow Angelinos. My name is Captain Jennifer Wilcox. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Caucasian female wearing a black shirt uniform with eyewear and a black hat.
For the love of God, go put out the fires. I mean, it does not stop, Jeff.
no, it doesn't. The only way you finally end this craziness. Right? So what they're trying to do is appeal to, people that are blind and might be listening. But I think the blind person who's tuning into a briefing on a fire wants to just get to the information about the fire.
Yeah.
Who cares about their eyewear?
I'm sure Johnny would call in and concur. He would agree with you.
Did
say,
you,
yeah.
by the way, did you see when Mike Johnston was getting heckled, the sign language interpreter?
Didn't see that one.
Okay, so he's now going viral because the sign language interpreter interprets the heckle.
Is that right? Wait a minute. Was this yesterday?
This was just yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh, that's great.
So he does it like with all the facial expressions, all that stuff.
That's awesome.
You Democrats are driving the city into the ditch.
That's great. I saw the comedian who did the sign language one, and I can't even remember the joke now, but it was wonderful. Oh my goodness!
Oh, and then that takes me back to the Nelson Mandela funeral, where the sign language lady was just making it all up. She didn't actually know sign language.
Is that right? I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, it was this big scandal because people that actually do sign language were like, What? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
Why is she talking about Run DMC?
She's my favorite.
Yeah,
she was my favorite. And also, this is the thing. I don't think that Blake Olson, our news department, understands the power of not only his newscast, but also of just his presence on this show that is Westward's best radio talk show in Denver, where everybody in the city starts their day, including once Blake Olson says, "I wonder what Johnny thinks about it." Ta-da! Johnny appears. Johnny from Denver joining us live on the air. Good morning, Johnny. What was your reaction to hearing the fire department chief describe herself that way?
I never knew that because to myself, I like to put up my own imagination. I get careless about their own description, and I always thought it was so stupid that they would say stuff like that. And they're like, leave me alone.
Yes. Exactly. You're the man, Johnny.
I love how Johnny feels violated.
Yeah.
Same here.
Same here. Like the pronouns, the descriptions, all that. He's just like, no, leave it up to my imagination.
Now, here's the thing: is what I'm hoping, Johnny. Now, what I'm hoping that Johnny's doing is when he hears someone that he may disagree with, like the Los Angeles Fire Department chief, he's allowed to make up his own description. So perhaps, maybe, he's imagining that she is showing up in like a Teletubbies costume with like some sort of balloon hat, because I think that would be a lot more fun. And I'd be a little jealous that I don't get to do the same thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Let me use my own imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. If you could describe her and you wanted to design her the way you wanted her to look like, Johnny, what would she look like?
Some blonde-haired lady with the puppy lips, red lipstick kind of stuff, and kind of looking like the sensual fire lady that she is.
Nice. like she, you know who she'd look like, Johnny? She'd look like Pam Bondi.
Well,
Pam Anderson.
So Pam Anderson
from Baywatch.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. He knows Pam Anderson because they did Baywatch in Braille, and that was just a really interesting experience.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Johnny, thank you so much for the call, man. Have a great day. We sure appreciate you.
Thanks, Johnny. He's the man.
He is.
That
was so cool. He's awesome.
Is Johnny's blind? I don't.
Yeah, he is.
So Johnny's blind.
Yep.
And he gets frustrated.
Yeah,
because he wants it in his own imagination.
Yes.
He doesn't want to have to.
I love. He's a wonderful person. I've met him personally.
That is amazing.
I'm certain that he doesn't remember it, but I remember him. I've met him personally in some professional capacities a few times, and he is a fantastic person. I'm certain that he does not agree with me politically on a number of things, but that is perfectly fine. He's a wonderful dude, and I love his perspective.
I love the fact he called in.
Yeah, it's
Way to
fantastic.
go, Johnny.
What a great personality. I love listening to him. We have the greatest callers.
Yeah, we
listeners. We do. All right. It's 19 in Littleton, 20 in Lakewood. It's about 20 where Johnny is right now. No, it's about 22 where Johnny is right now. It is, what is it? Thursday. Jeff and Billy continue.
I have read multiple reports of your regularly being drunk at work.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Sometime I think that Blake was doing that for us. Hey, this is Jeff and Bill live, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Balance Well Space. They have made an incredible change in my life, and I want you to give them the opportunity to make the same change in yours. I used to live my life in daily pain. It wasn't a question of if it was going to hurt. It was only a question about how much it was going to hurt. And don't get me started. After you do that work around the house, you do a little bit of DIY, do that snow shoveling, that was a lot of pain the next day. I had to prep myself for it. I knew it was coming. The worst thing about it, I felt there was nothing I could do. But then I met the amazing team at Balance Well Space. They changed everything for me. I now am not living my life in that daily pain, all because of integrated medicine. The key is at Balance Well Space, you get a whole bunch of treatments under one roof: chiropractic care, neuropathic care, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, trigger point injections, and so much more. I was just there yesterday. Saw Dr. Jen and Dr. Jess, and they did some stuff to me to make me feel better, and it's fantastic. I was getting a little bit of tingly on my left leg. Normally it was my right leg with the sciatica. It was getting a little tingly on the left leg because I'd sat funny doing some stuff. They fixed me right up yesterday. What they can do is you sit down with them and they create a custom pain plan. They talk to you about what hurts, what aches, but most importantly, what are the things you're not doing in your life anymore? Then they put together a pain plan that is just directed at you, your care, and your goals. Then they go to work. You give them the time, and what they do is they do all the treatments, but it's that incredible series of treatments that all work together. You're walking from office to office to office, getting all the treatments you need under one roof. That saves you time. It saves you effort. But most importantly, every couple of weeks, they come back and reevaluate your care. They look at you. They ask you what you're doing, what you're not doing. How are you doing meeting your goals? And then they will fine-tune that care based on your progress. I'm certain you have a medical team that's working on the things that are bothering you in your life right now. But do they talk? They're in different offices. Have they ever shared an email, a Zoom meeting, a carrier pigeon about you? But every couple of weeks, Balance Well Space gets together to discuss you and how you're doing. Plus, they involve you in the care and the decision. I'm pretty sure your current medical team hasn't done that recently, have they? No. That's the difference at Balance Well Space. So do me a favor. Reach out to Balance Well Space because they can get you feeling amazing by the time you get to spring. As we're talking, I'm regenerating the disc in my lower back. I've got two vertebrae that are fusing together. Not anymore. We've pulled them apart through wonderful traction. We've loosened up the muscles, and now I'm regenerating that disc. I'm also regenerating the meniscus in my left knee. My left knee used to sound like popcorn walking around all the time. Now it's my strong knee. Now my right knee is the one that's giving me wonky times. So, yeah. But what you got to do, reach out to Balance Well Space, balancewellspace.com, balancewellspace.com, brand new offices in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2, plenty of parking. And when you reach out to them, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because it sure does help us out.
That's great to hear, Bill. We'll get to the phone lines. Marcus has been waiting. You're up next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A mild day here along the Front Range. Take advantage of today if you have to do outdoor chores or if you need to travel, because this will be the best day in a while. 50s and 60s, lows tonight in the upper 20s. On Friday, high temperatures happen before the noon hour, reaching the 40s, but temperatures plunging by afternoon. Snow Friday night, sharply colder. Snow likely Saturday, mainly in the morning, and sharply colder. Few inches of snow could accumulate Friday night through Saturday. Saturday's highs teens, going below zero Saturday night. Highs single digits in teens Sunday, below zero Sunday night. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wyo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Joe Biden giving his farewell address to the nation on Wednesday night. In his short speech, he warned about an oligarchy taking control and said that social media companies using community notes instead of fact checkers is a, quote, threat to our children.
Disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power.
According to Arab officials, the ceasefire between Israel and the terror group of Hamas was reached because of President Donald Trump and had nothing to do with Joe Biden. In fact, 2 Arab officials told the Times of Israel that Trump's top aide, Steve Witkoff, swayed Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu more in one meeting than Biden did all year.
I would like first to thank our partners from Egypt, the USA, and in particular, the U.S. President-elect envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff.
The tense sit-down in Jerusalem led to a breakthrough with both sides agreeing to a hostage deal 2 days later.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Wyo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Joe Biden making his final speech from the White House yesterday. What'd you think of it? Good riddance, or thank you for your public service? What do you think? Let's go to the phone lines. Marcus, Denver, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Morning, guys. Hey, after 50 years, he didn't really do anything but his green energy bill that cost billions. But here's what amazes me. Come Monday, it's Martin Luther King Day. I have a dream. And Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated. This is amazing. This is Art Bell.
It's a nice reference to Art Bell. I appreciate that. That is interesting. Yeah, it is. That's interesting juxtaposition.
There is a lot to be celebrating coming this Monday. But Marcus, can you tell me?
Like 1 in a million.
Can you tell me what Joe Biden's accomplishments were over 50 years of public service?
He lost Afghanistan. The billions that went to Ukraine. The green energy infrastructure that fell apart. If that was in place in California, everything at this point, it would be shut down. Where are they going to recharge that?
Yeah.
The electrical is down, everything.
Marcus, that's a great point. That's a great point. Well, Marcus, I sure appreciate the call.
Yeah,
We've got you Choose the News coming up. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's that moment in the morning where we like to bring a little levity. Not that we haven't had a lot of it today.
Yes.
Let's take a moment to do some You Choose the News, Bill.
Yes, we get a little crazy. For my Gnarls Barkley fans out there, yes, it is time that we play You Choose the News, America's favorite fake radio news game show. I have spent mere moments this morning browsing the interwebs to find really stupid stories about us humans. It's remarkably easy. And then I give them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this fake radio news game show. Why? Because nobody that has any sort of power or responsibility at this radio station is awake until 7 a.m. So when we are left unsupervised, yeah, exactly. So, okay. Now, also remember, this is a secret. Nobody knows we're doing this. Okay, just between us. Blake Olson joins us from the newsroom. Jeff Hunt is in the studio. Here we go, gentlemen. Our stories this morning are as follows. Headline number 1, Rocky causes panic. Headline number 2, you smell delicious. Headline number 3, new twist on a value meal. And headline number 4, Plow King approved. Mr. Hunt, your choice, sir.
Well, you know, in honor of Joe Biden heading out here, let's do you smell delicious.
I'm so glad you got that one. Okay, well, oh, you smell delicious. In a gleaming laboratory in Edinburgh, Scotland, a robotic machine whirs and mixes. The final product they are creating is going to be a pine-smelling chemical that can be used as an ingredient in perfumes. But the starting point is very, very different. A fatberg. Yes, a glumpy, brown, goopy mess that was recently fished out of the sewer systems in Scotland. Fatbergs are a foul phenomenon found lurking in and blocking sewers all across Europe and sometimes in the U.S. Basically, it's accumulated lumps of fat from cooking oil, your toilet waste, other food and waste products you put down the drains that accumulates inside the sewer system, and now they're turning it into perfume. Yes, that's the idea. Is they're sterilizing it, they're boiling it down, mixing it, and now it is a wonderful perfume. Yes, I can't wait. Yes, Ode to Fatberg. It's going to be wonderful. I cannot wait for this one. I know. It's ridiculous. Oh,
I'm sitting here looking at them online. Why people would want to turn that into perfume.
I know.
It's just crazy.
Here's the idea: is you got to figure out how drunk or high were they when they're like, "Hey, Steve, I got an idea here. How about we?" And you're like, "Wait, hang on."
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Mr. Olson, in the newsroom, your headlines, sir. Rocky causes panic. New twist on a value meal, or Plow King approved.
Let's go with Rocky causes panic.
Yes. Rocky is causing panic. You might know the flying squirrel that caused mayhem sometimes on Bullwinkle's show, Bullwinkle the Moose. But here we are traveling to Boulder County. Perhaps this is one of Rocky's relatives, because students at Boulder County Elementary were recently placed on a severe security status after a report of possible gunshots in the area. Well, the Boulder County Sheriff's Office said the problem was a mischievous squirrel. Yes, the squirrel has turned diehard. It's now taking revenge. No, I'm sorry. No, it wasn't shooting anybody. It actually was just moving around and got into an electrical, kind of junction box and made a little popping sound. And that was it. It was in there trying to chew on the wires. And that was the thing. They heard the pop. They saw power go out and they thought something was going on. They were put in secure status a little before noon. At least one report is made of the sound of possible gunshots near the school campus. Around 1 o'clock, they said, well, it's just a squirrel that tripped an electrical fuse. Sorry about it.
Gotcha.
But anybody want a little barbecued squirrel?
I was going to say, did it live through that?
Little chewy. So
It's their new mascot.
it does.
Sure
It
they
does.
love
And
that.
it does taste like chicken. So, yeah,
Boulder, I think they
Yes.
would love that.
Oh, they
up in
would.
Boulder.
They would. You can open up.
They're going to embrace that.
Okay, like you and I, our new part-time job, squirrel on a stick, and we're going to sell it in Boulder.
That'd go over well on Pearl
Yes.
Street.
Oh, it would, especially late at night. You can dip it in different flavors. We can, we're
Chocolate,
yes,
vanilla.
Exactly. Would you like a chocolate squirrel? Yes. Oh, we're horrible. Okay, Jeff Hunt, your final choice this morning. New twist on a value meal, or Plow King approved?
New twist on a value meal.
New twist on a value meal. We travel to Hamilton, Ontario to reach TikTok user Jenna Bama. Recently, she said she took into a drive-thru at Burger King and ordered chicken fries. It came with a severe extra that she says, wow, this is going to really up the game of the value meal. It came with a few buds of marijuana.
Oh,
yes,
squirrel.
The devil's lettuce. Now, she wasn't sure about it. She thought maybe this was some sort of a marketing trick because, you get a little high, you get a little munchy. She said maybe what they're trying to do is push sales. Or perhaps it's just some illegal sales of drugs. And Burger King's like, no, we'll crack down on that because it's a value meal and you're selling marijuana. We're going to up the price. So that's the thing there. Okay. That's it. Value meal with marijuana. Yeah, back to you, sir.
Coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, TikTok is heading out as well as the red dye number 3. We'll get into all this and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader. We are News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, January 16th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're waking up and heading to work in the greatest country in history. Let's get after it. We've got a whole hour planned for you of engaging conversations, critical analysis, and most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver. Just make sure it's not filled with red dye number 3.
But that's my favorite dye. It's the most delicious.
I guess it's the one that looks like strawberries, cherries.
Yeah, it's the bright red one.
Bright red one.
Yeah, Skittles is going to be super pissed about this.
And cereal.
Yeah, Fruit Loops. Yeah, I think.
And I guess Robert F. Kennedy wants all dyes banned. So I don't know what our food's going to look like in the next few years.
What are our news anchors going to look like? They'll have gray hair. That's going to be weird. Oh, not that dye. Sorry. I apologize. I apologize about that one. For someone who's going gray, I'm a little sensitive about that.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about things getting banned all of a sudden. TikTok is preparing for a potential shutdown this weekend unless the U.S. Supreme Court intervenes. We're going to talk with Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the FDA banning this ahead of Robert F. Kennedy likely becoming director of HHS. And are they kind of agreeing with him? Is this something that needs to be banned? Apparently, it has connections to cancer in rodents. It's been tested.
You know what the fun part about it is? Guess when they discovered that? Oh, early 90s. You know, so it just kind of tells you about where they are on the list of priorities.
Well, Robert F. Kennedy saying that the HHS is very corrupt and in bed with a lot of these big food corporations. Do you agree with him on that? We're going to get into all of this and more. Let's check in first on News and Comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning, Jeff and Billy. It's 23 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 55 today. Should be a beautiful day for that cold snap hits on Saturday. Our top story, firefighters continue to work hard, and winds in the Southern California region are easing up today, giving them a chance to make more progress. The Palisades and Eaton fire have left thousands of homes and businesses destroyed. At least 25 people have been confirmed dead from the fires. But the city, they have everything figured out.
Hi, my name is Ashley Rodriguez. I am the Public Information Officer for the City of Los Angeles Department on Disability. My self-description, I'm a Latina with short brown hair wearing a blue shirt, and standing to my left is our American Sign Language interpreter, Susan.
Go get it done, LA. Nice job. Hey, the old white guy with gray, really white hair plugs, President Biden, he's warning that an emerging oligarchy is threatening democracy in the U.S. Of course it is. Spoke to the nation last night.
That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power.
What?
In the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy.
Yeah, it'd be like the Pelosi's and the Clintons and the Bidens and the Obamas.
The Clooney's.
And the Clooney's and everyone. You are correct. Thousands upon millions of those powerful people. Hey, here's a story that Biden needs to look at, and all of us do. Eating lots of red meat could increase your chances for dementia. New Harvard study shows people who eat the equivalent of 2 slices of bacon or a hot dog each day have a 13% greater chance of developing dementia than those. Yep, so am I. I'm done.
Well, here's a good thing. I got there's some good news for both of you, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to end up a little bit of dementia, but the best part about it is you guys won't remember it.
Good point. That's it. See?
Yes,
always coming with the silver lining.
Yes, exactly. Always.
These studies, man, and just in 2 weeks, we'll have a study about how people who eat bacon are living longer than everybody else. It's just, they bounce back and forth. And I always go back to the lady that lives to like 106 and smokes a cigar every day and drinks Dr. Pepper in the morning.
Yep.
Who knows? But
No doubt.
there is a 100% death rate, and the only savior is Jesus Christ.
I'm going out with my diet Dr. Pepper. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go out, quietly in my sleep like Grandpa, not screaming and yelling like the rest of the people in the car. Just a hope.
I like that. I think you have a good chance.
We all have goals. Yes.
Yes.
Joe, that's a description of Joe Biden leading our country the last 4 years.
That is a good one. That should be a meme. Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Israel is delaying a cabinet vote on a ceasefire with Hamas after claiming the Palestinian group is reneging on parts of the agreement. The ceasefire and hostage deal with Hamas was agreed to on Wednesday. Today, the Israeli Prime Minister's office claimed that Hamas was creating a last-minute crisis that is preventing the agreement. Crazy Maisie Hirono from Hawaii, once again showing off her talents in the Pam Bondi confirmation hearing.
On August 25th, 2025, on Fox News, you said,
she's got a little.
When Republicans take back the White House, the Department of Justice, the prosecutors who will be prosecuted, the bad ones, the investigators who will be investigated. Ms. Bondi, is Jack Smith one of those bad prosecutors that you will prosecute as AG?
Senator,
Yes.
you hesitated a bit when I said the bad ones. Every decision
Sometimes
will be
badness
made
in the eyes of the beholder. I'm just asking whether you would consider Jack Smith,
Senator,
to be one of the people.
Yes.
How about Liz Cheney?
Yes.
Senator,
How about Merrick Garland?
I am
Yes.
not going to answer hypotheticals. No one has been prejudged, nor will
I
anyone
am
be
asking whether
prejudged if I am
these are the
confirmed.
kind of people, these are in fact the people that you would prosecute.
She is great, man. She was sipping her drink while she was asking those questions. The Eagles are pledging over $2 million to Fire Aid, the benefit concert for the victims of the fires in Los Angeles. The concert is set to take place on January 30th at the Intuit Dome. Proceeds from the event will go toward an organization that was created to rebuild LA infrastructure and support displaced families. The NCAA is going to start paying out financial rewards to women's college basketball teams that participate in March Madness. It announced that yesterday, that two funds would be set up starting at $15 million this spring and reaching $25 million by the 2027-28 season. It's a first for women's teams. It's good business to get into. Play some hoops. 20 in Parker, 20 in Lafayette, 23 in Denver. Thursday, Jeff and Billy continue.
On August 25th,
Listen for the
2025,
straw.
on Fox News, you said,
Yummy. Sip
when
that.
Republicans take back the White House,
Maisie. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A mild day here along the Front Range. Take advantage of today if you have to do outdoor chores or if you need to travel, because this will be the best day in a while. 50s and 60s, lows tonight in the upper 20s. On Friday, high temperatures happen before the noon hour, reaching the 40s, but temperatures plunging by afternoon. Snow Friday night, sharply colder. Snow likely Saturday, mainly in the morning, and sharply colder. Few inches of snow could accumulate Friday night through Saturday. Saturday's highs teens, going below zero Saturday night. High single digits in teens Sunday, below zero Sunday night. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, FDA red food dye due to potential cancer risk. Fox News reporting food manufacturers have until January 2027 to remove the dye from their products. Let's go to the phone lines. Jim Sterling. Good morning, Jim. What do you think of this?
Yeah, morning.
We all grew up with lead-based paint and red dye. And at 50 years old, here still I am. And the interstate used to be, 85 miles an hour?
With no seatbelts?
no seat belts. Yeah, on top of it. Yeah, I mean, you can go down the list, and still here we are.
Yeah,
somebody sings a country song somewhat similar to that, and I don't remember who it is. It's Snelldine or somebody. I don't remember.
Jim,
but anyways, look at that.
I've noticed there's been an interesting change within the conservative movement. So I've been active in this for 20 plus years now. And I remember we used to slam, these bans on sugary drinks out of New York and the nanny state and all that stuff. And now I've noticed a lot of conservatives raise concerns about big food, like big pharma, that maybe it doesn't have the best interests of Americans in heart. It, is pushing bad food upon us. People are getting cancer at young ages. You have bad inflammation.
But people doesn't make you go to McDonald's. People don't make me smoke my cigarettes. People don't make me drink my Dr. Pepper. People need to take full responsibility. They have options.
It's a great point. And that's been the traditional conservative worldview, but that's not Robert F. Kennedy's worldview. He wants to ban some of these.
You're right. But who are they to tell us how we should live our lives?
Yeah. I mean, do you think, though, that there's something to be told about, the quality of the food we're eating these days? It's pumped full of additives and preservatives and dyes, and it might be making our kids sick. Is there something to that concern, you think?
I don't know. Look at all the vaccinations we give our cows. I'm a farmer, rancher, whatever have you. The crops that we spray, there's a lot, but that didn't happen yesterday. This has been going on for a long time. So here, everybody's explained to me then, those people, like my dad or whoever, whatever, everybody knows somebody that smoked cigarettes were supposed to be harmful. Well, they didn't ban cigarettes. You can still smoke, So I'm just throwing that out there as an analogy.
Yeah, no.
Like the lead-based paint. You weren't supposed. They banned lead-based paint for you to paint in your house. So when you grew up with that, and now still here we are. We have endured all these things. So you guys would have a better answer for me of how we're all still here.
Yeah, I think there are parts of it that it depends on, again, the amount in which you digest and the time frame in which you digest it, etc. The idea being that if you were exposed to asbestos on a one-off, it's not going to have the same exposure rate as if you were exposed to asbestos on the regular. That was the argument with indoor smoke. I was actually working in bars at the time when they looked at that indoor smoking ban. And the issue was that because of all the people making the choice to smoke in that room, you, as someone that works there, are constantly exposed to that smoke, and the amount of smoke that you intake, you don't really necessarily have a control over that. But again, you did have the freedom to go and get another job. So there were some balances there. I think
there you go.
Yeah, I think where the problem is, in my opinion, is the reason they're using these dyes in many cases is because it is cheaper than going and getting a naturally occurring dye or creating it that way. And they're able to produce their product at a lower cost and make more money off of it. And here's the biggest example. Walk into the grocery store today and take a look at the price of a pound of grapes versus a bag of potato chips. It's very easy to know which one of those is healthier for you, but you're going to pay more for the grapes. And in fact, you're going to pay a lot more for the grapes in many cases. And that's the thing. When they make it more expensive to eat healthy, what choice do you think many people are going to make?
The chips.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what the conservative movement with the Make America Healthy Again is about. I've noticed with my friends and my colleagues is we just want quality food again, like good. We want the steak that Jim and Sterling is producing, not ultra processed bags of potato chips. Jim, really appreciate the call. Thanks so much. All right. TikTok is preparing for a potential shutdown this weekend. With the latest details on that is Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent. Good morning, Rory. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, guys.
So is this thing heading towards a shutdown? Supreme Court going to intervene? Donald Trump on Monday going to change? What's going to happen with TikTok, you think?
Well, right. So keep in mind, if the law goes into effect and if the ban, I guess they'd call it, happens on Sunday, all that means is that the app will come off the App Store. The TikTok app won't be available on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. But the one on your phone, if you've already downloaded it, that will work just fine until the lack of support for the app sort of makes it wither on the vine. Now, what they're trying to do is have some domestic group here from the USA come in and buy TikTok. The law that was passed says ByteDance has to get rid of its Chinese ownership in order for TikTok to continue operating in the US. So if they can find a buyer here in the States, then everything goes along just fine. But because of the way this is structured, because it really just allows TikTok to sort of wither but be largely operational, it's going to give some time for some of these business deals to perhaps come together.
Talking with Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent. Now, from my understanding, the concern is twofold about TikTok. One is the access that the Chinese government has to people's personal viewing habits, their data, that type of stuff. But it really seems, and that doesn't seem shocking to me because I feel like everybody has everybody's data these days, especially marketing and advertising companies. But the second thing is that China could use TikTok to somehow influence and promote propaganda here in the United States. Is that your sense of the actual concerns about the Chinese government owning TikTok?
Right. It's a bit of a 1-2 punch. And look, a lot of government phones have already banned TikTok, either at the state, federal levels. But the concern is, say you're 12 years old and you have TikTok on your phone, maybe you're 13 or 14. Well, now that phone interacts with, and the data it collects can create a pretty incredible profile. And, well, TikTok's been around for a few years now. And say that 14-year-old is now 22, 23, out of college and looking for a job at the CIA or the FBI or some other law enforcement agency, maybe in the military. Well, now China has 10 years of data on that individual and can really put together a profile of some of these agents, where they work and what they could be doing. So I think you have to do that 35,000-foot view of what this could mean, not just the fact that, oh gosh, you liked a video about whatever and whatever funny dance somebody was doing, but instead all the other logistical data that can be collected and shared with the Chinese government over 5, 10, 15 years.
And talk about the propaganda side. That's government officials seem to be concerned that all of a sudden now China could be pushing like pro-communist messaging towards young people.
Well, right. And let's think of it this way. Take a political position. Say you're conservative, say you're liberal. And then because of the algorithm on TikTok, let's say you're conservative, it would feed you perhaps MSNBC all the time. And that's all you'd get to see is MSNBC. And then that could manipulate your thinking and vice versa. Maybe they send Fox material to someone who's more liberal. And that would be because the algorithm can be adapted to change exactly what's in your feed to convince you to like, dislike, anger, or reinforce some of your views, whatever it may be.
Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, joining Jeff and Bill live. I find it funny that written inside of that law, there's an exemption for a certain arm of our government to continue to use TikTok because they want to reach out to the Chinese market and influence them. They want to do exactly what they're claiming TikTok wants to do to us, but for them, it's okay. Now, Rory, what I want to ask you about, just your impression, why the solution to this problem has been a forced sale. In the realm of capitalism, in the greatest capitalist country that this world has ever seen, why is the solution, in your opinion, to ban it and not just build a better mousetrap? Do we think that U.S. can't innovate something as catchy and clever as TikTok? Are we just dumb, or is there some other reason, do you think?
Well, I don't think they're interfering in the marketplace. So I guess they are interviewing, but they're doing it with another government. I mean, for instance, you can't buy a Chinese electric car in the U.S., right? Even though there's the chatter out there that the Chinese electric cars are the best vehicles ever built, but we can't get them here. Why? Well, that's to protect our auto industry. I mean, there are plenty of things that the government does that are protectionist in many ways. And in this case, they're trying to protect especially younger people from being manipulated either in their thinking or having their data tracked and taken by them. Now, be clear, TikTok says that no, none of this data gets to the Chinese government. But one of these days, we're going to just accept the terms of user agreement that have been updated and that we don't read. And then perhaps China can get its hand on what is very valuable data, because we've all heard the cliche that in 2025, I guess we could say now, that data is the new oil. That is where that data, that personal information, is the most valuable commodity being traded today.
Now, Roy O'Neill, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. This is Roy O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, joining Jeff and Bill live. I think you've hit the nail on the head as far as the access to the algorithm and access to TikTok and the Chinese government intertwined. That is an issue. And TikTok has always said, no, we've never given the Chinese government any information, but nobody's ever asked the question, has the Chinese government ever asked for the information? My impression based on reading is the government's never asked TikTok to purge data and give them the data. So even though TikTok has said we wouldn't do this, we haven't done this, it doesn't mean they won't in the future, because that is the operational agreement they function under. Inside of ByteDance, they have to.
Well, right. And to establish a corporation in China, you essentially have to have ownership by the Chinese government. I mean, that's how this all works over there. So, it's a very different form of a way of functioning for businesses. So essentially, China can move in and take over whatever it wants at any time. So, yeah, that may be the situation right now, but something may change, and boom, the rules change, and suddenly, try getting that data back after China gets its hands on it. Good luck. So they're trying to sever the ties. It'll be interesting to see. Again, the founder of TikTok just got invited to have a prime seat at the inauguration on Monday. Donald Trump has sort of had a 180 on his position on TikTok. But one of the most outspoken people against TikTok, one of the leaders trying to get this law through, is the new incoming Secretary of State, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. He really has been the man leading the charge for years to try to get TikTok banned. And he's the former head of the Intelligence Committee in the U.S. Senate. So clearly he knows something about how this whole thing operates.
And talking to Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, is there anything that Trump could do day one to step in to address this, or is it going to have to play out legislatively?
Well, he may not have to. Again, they may find a buyer for it. Mr. Wonderful is in the mix from Shark Tank to try to buy it. Maybe Elon Musk and X, there's been some chatter there. But because this is going to be allowed to slowly die on the vine, by the way, Vine was allowed to die on the vine by X, speaking of video apps.
Good job.
But because there's time. They don't, okay, so no new users can download the app starting Sunday. Big deal. 170 million Americans already have it, but it's going to be allowed to die. And so that means that there may be time in order to get this thing sold and to find a new owner domestically to comply with the law.
We'll continue to track this. Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, thanks so much for your reporting and joining the Jeff and Bill show today.
Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
All right. What do you
interesting.
think about all this? Now, the funny thing is, in light of the Chinese spies, the users of TikTok are now saying farewell. Here is one of a content creator on TikTok saying goodbye to their Chinese spy.
I just have a quick message for my personal Chinese spy who's been spying on me through this app for 5 years. And now that the app is getting banned, will no longer be able to. I just wanted to say, 谢谢,再见,我爱你. 你是我的朋友.
Basically, goodbye. I love you. All that stuff. So they're mocking the fact that they have personal Chinese spies. Is this much to do about nothing? Is this, kind of tempest in a teapot? We're blowing it out of proportion. Every tech company. So I ran a digital ad agency back in the mid 2010s. And back then, Facebook had data collection in partnership with Axiom and DataLogic, which was all of your credit card purchasing.
Yeah.
So all of your purchases that you made were overlaid on your Facebook profile. So what I could do as a programmer is hit moms of 4 kids who drive Toyota Siennas and buy Cheerios and have a net worth over annual income net worth of over $100,000 in Highlands Ranch. And I did that. I mean, that was data programming back there. They've kind of rolled it back a little bit, but the idea that these data companies and governments don't own all of the data anyways, that exists out there.
Well, I think it's very appropriate because we are very loose with our data to begin with. And the example that I use is you're like, oh, I'm worried about my data online leaking. If someone walked up to you and offered you 2 tickets to the next Super Bowl, you are going to give them your name, your address, your social security number, your bank routing number. It doesn't matter. We are that loose in order to get things that we want. We are willing to trade some of our data. And in this conversation, one thing I find interesting is Donald Trump says that he is considering banning the law with an executive order on day one. He doesn't have that power, but he's claiming that power. The interesting part is new Attorney General Pam Bondi, who I'm assuming is going to get confirmed, could also refuse to enforce the law. So she could just say, I know you passed this law, but I don't care about it. And the Department of Justice isn't going to do anything. So the legislative solution might be there.
Status for TikTok.
It sure could be. And the other one that I'm real curious about as far as Americans is, it's interesting that all the billionaires aren't coming forward saying, I'm going to invent the next TikTok. They're all offering, like Kevin Leary, Canadian billionaire, is saying, I'll buy it. I bet you would. A fully functional, super profitable, very popular business. Oh, who wouldn't sign up to buy that? Don't do the hard work of actually generating a new product yourself. That is silly. Buy something that already exists. And the question I've got is, if China came to the U.S. and said, you know what? We think you're possibly stealing our technology and we don't like some of the computers that sit inside of your Teslas. You need to sell the Tesla Chinese arm to a Chinese company. How would we take that? Somewhere around 50 to 25% of Elon's money comes out of China right now. His largest production facility is in China. He's trying to build 2 more. How would we view it if China came to us and says, Elon is able to, and Tesla is able to monitor all of these cars wherever they are. He can turn on cameras. He can block access to them. He knows where they drive. He knows how long they drive. He knows who owns them. That's a lot of our personal data. We don't feel comfortable with the guy that is running the Doge agency that is connected to the president being able to access that data about our Chinese citizens. So now you must sell that arm of Tesla. How would we respond?
And I think I disagreed a little bit with Rory in the sense of like what the real threat is. I get the sense that China can have access to a dozen years of viewing content of young people. That I'm not dismissing that.
No,
but it seems to me like the ability to push upon tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of young people, pro-communist propaganda, videos, elevate those videos, those types of things is a serious concern. And if the Chinese government owns that and has the ability to shape the minds, the influences of our young people, well, then I'm kind of for it, the ban on it. So
and the thing for me is that if China, because again, we like to say that American culture is exported throughout the world. Everybody wants to see our movies. Everybody loves our music. They want to see our TV shows and Netflix, things like that. There are Netflix outlets all over the planet. So if we are that cultural leader, how are we letting China take over and connecting to our young people? What does that say about us, our culture, and where we are as a society if we believe that China is going to be able to create things that are so engaging and have such strong, powerful messages that they can persuade our kids? For me, that's a strong, stark look into the mirror and look at how American society might be failing. If the Chinese society can manipulate it and create things that are that engaging, maybe we need to look at where we are.
Yeah, great question. All right, give us a call. Phone lines are open. What do you think about all this? Do you agree with Donald Trump that maybe we need to step in and protect TikTok? We shouldn't ban it. Are you concerned on those 2 areas of TikTok? One, their ability to collect data information on people, the Chinese government could, and then also influence folks and push propaganda. Should it be banned? And then we'll get into red dyes as well. So a lot of changes coming into the new administration. Give us a call. Phone lines are open at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Look, if you've never called before, this is the show where Denver's voice is heard. You get to call in and be a part of the conversation. There's not really a bad take on this. We just want to hear from you. Give us a call. Again, the phone line, 303-696-1971. How about a simple New Year's resolution, one that even I could achieve? Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there's no one I trust more in hair restoration. Their simple FUE treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. Simply put, Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care makes your comfort and your results their top priority. Celebrate this new year with a fuller head of hair and get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. So call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Discover what meeting your resolution could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wyo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. More than 50% of Americans say that Joe Biden will be remembered as below average or one of the worst presidents in U.S. history. According to the Marist poll, more than 33% of people gave him the designation as worst president in history, with another 19% saying he will be considered a below average president. The Marist poll is the second straight national survey to show history will not view Biden well. According to a USA Today Suffolk University poll, 44% of voters nationwide said history will classify Biden as a failed president. Pam Bondi was the target of attacks by California Senators Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla, both of whom focused their questions on President Donald Trump, January 6th, and the weaponization of the DOJ. During one fiery back and forth, Bondi hit Schiff with a harsh reminder of his own shortcomings in Congress. Listen.
If confirmed, I will look at the files
and
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons,
do?
well
will you
as
be
the
able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am asked to look at.
Of course you won't. So will you advise the president?
Can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I would
is-
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me answer
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress,
also-
Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so
also-
reckless.
In Dallas, Christina Wyo, Salem News Channel.
best voice I like to listen
Yeah,
to.
his delivery is fantastic. And it's a different show in the morning than what Hugh was doing. But it's a lot of fun. He talked to Rush's old producer, Bo Snerdley, this morning.
Great guy.
Yeah, he had Kurt Schlichter on the other day. It's a fun conversation. It's totally a different flavor than what Hugh offers. But I like him. I like his energy. He's got a good sense of humor and great bumper music. So far, I'm enjoying what I hear.
Yeah, congratulations to him. And then to be able to listen to Hugh in the afternoons is awesome, too.
That is kind of cool. That's a neat change. That gives me more time to listen to him because I enjoy me some Hugh.
All right. So the FDA banning red dye number 3. It's connected to petroleum as well. This is wild. I didn't know about this, but apparently it's causing cancer in rats, and they've known about this for a long time. Bill, this has got to prove that Robert F. Kennedy is the right guy to lead HHS. Come on, he's been calling it for years.
Okay. This is that moment on the show where I both love Jeff and hate him deeply at the same time because he's got a point. He's absolutely got a point that Robert Kennedy is right about this and has been right about it for years. He's correct that the food dyes and many of the additives are really bad news inside of our food. However, it doesn't mean he's right about some of the other stuff. And that's where I think he becomes dangerous, is because being correct on one thing doesn't mean that you're correct on everything. And there's this idea that once you amass enough wealth or enough educational degrees, that you believe then your body of knowledge or experience transfers into areas in which you don't really know anything about. And all right, here I'm going to reach in my bag and I'm going to pull out my favorite punching boy, Elon Musk. Great as far as technological innovation. So far, great as far as running Tesla. Great as far as innovation and understanding what SpaceX can deliver. Super questionable about the Boring Company. I had no clue what he was doing when he was buying TikTok. He thought because he was a super user on TikTok, he understood what TikTok was and how to run the business. And on the business side of things, he's plowed that thing into the ground. He's chased off advertisers, he's destroyed revenue, and he's also eroded the user base as far as total number of people and impressions. But that doesn't mean that everything he does is bad. And let me show you. He has built a factory in Texas, I believe, that is doing it's pieces of battery and things. He had that facility. It's a massive facility done in 18 months, up and running from the time the first shovel overturned ground to where they turned the lights on and had that thing rolling. 18 months to get this underway is freaking mind-blowing. That's insane. Great job. That he did wonderfully. And that's where I do think that he can provide some like efficiencies in government because he understands those systems, but he doesn't understand some of the larger things. And that's what I'm worried about with RFK Jr. is, yes, he was right about the red dyes, but that doesn't mean he's right about vaccinations. That doesn't mean that he's right about other things. Because you're right once. I mean, again, how many listeners go, okay, Billy was right once, but it doesn't mean it's not full of crap the whole rest of the time he's on the show. Yeah. Use me as an example, perhaps.
I'm also intrigued by the fact that the Biden administration's getting this done the last few days, and it's almost like they don't want to give credit to the Trump administration a little bit. But this was something that Robert F. Kennedy, to your point, has been calling for a long time. I think he's going to do pretty good. Now, this is interesting. Just yesterday, conservative groups founded by Vice President Mike Pence is calling on senators to vote against confirming Robert F. Kennedy as Health and Human Service Secretary because of his previous support for abortion. Whatever the merits of RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again initiative, says Pence, indeed, whatever other qualities a nominee might possess, an HHS secretary must have a firm commitment to protect the unborn, or else bend under the pressure and push back surrounding these daily critical decisions, said Mark Short, and president of Advancing American Freedom, President Tim Chapman. While RFK Jr. has made certain overtures to pro-life leaders that he would be mindful of their concerns at HHS, there's little reason for confidence at this time. So how do you feel about that? Former Vice President Mike Pence weighing in, going, look, he may get some of these things right, but he's wrong on abortion. And you've got to have somebody that leads HHS that's committed to the sanctity of life.
I got to jump in just for a sec here. Shout out to Artis on the text messages, and we'll get to Ron's phone call in a sec. Shout out to Artis, who said, hey, is there a connection that we want to ban TikTok and red dye China?
Just say no to the red commies.
The big from BS. I told Artis on the text messages, I wish I would have thought of that. That is really fun. That is fun and silly and ridiculous, and I love it. And thank you, Artis.
Let's go to Ron in Denver. Good morning, Ron. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
It's Greeley.
Okay. Oh, sorry. My fault.
Ron, what are your thoughts?
No, that's cool. Hey, I'm kind of curious when you're saying as far as everybody's, as you know, he's right on this, he's right on that, but he's wrong on this. Well, everybody is, right? I mean, there's not a single person on this planet that's 100% right all the time.
Yeah, you're right.
And God knows our Congress is full of people that say they're right when they're wrong, and then they don't admit it. I mean, we just saw what happened with Pete Hegseth, right? And I don't remember names, but I remember that Republican guy just bashing the Dems as far as, you know, being drunk and being divorced, and he's pointing fingers at him.
Mark Wayne Mullen. Yeah. And I'm actually, Ron, I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel in that example, in that conversation, Mark Wayne Mullen did a really good job saying, hey, you know, it basically was those of you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone looked at that and said, oh my gosh, he burnt down all the naysayers. And everyone missed the most important thrust of his argument. And in my opinion, the dumbest one. He was on with Caitlin Collins on CNN, and I was like, ooh, this is going to be interesting. And Caitlin missed it. It was swinging a whiff, because late in that statement from Mullins, he says, what are the qualifications for being Secretary of Defense? And he said, citizen. That's it. That's the only qualification outlined. And that's the weakness in his argument. If citizen is the only qualification, then someone should have said, great, can my daughter's a citizen? Can I nominate my 12-year-old daughter? So this person's a citizen. The person running the camera here at C-SPAN right now, they're a citizen. Should they be Secretary of Defense? If that's the bar that Mark Wayne Mullins is saying he's trying to get over as just citizen, I have questions. So that is the argument that should have been focused on with Mark Wayne Mullins. For all the other bluster that he had and all the stuff that he said correct, that was the part in which he sat here and goes, now let me take my argument and chop out the entire foundation.
The argument, though, was not about the bar. The argument was the foundation. And what they were often going after was this lack of experience, or the little people that not little people, the small number of people that he had managed versus senators and all that stuff. And he was going to the foundation of what is necessary constitutionally for them, not necessarily the bar. But Ron, really appreciate the call.
Yeah, Ron,
we got to get to a break here. We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking about things that are being banned all of a sudden. TikTok looks like it's going to be banned this weekend. And then the FDA banning red dye number 3 because it could cause cancer. It does in male rats. So, Bill, text message here from 8422.
Yeah.
It is totally unfair that you're trying to condemn RFK Jr. for things he hasn't even done yet. You have a guy that doesn't even need a job, but he wants to come in and try to do some good things for the American people, and you want to bash him before he can even get started. I don't get it, they say.
Yeah, here's the thing is, I'm bashing him for his positions he has taken over the previous decades, and I feel that's fair because past is prologue. If he's taken these positions in the past, we should assume that he's coming into office in order to enact them. It would be odd, wouldn't it, for him to have a whole bunch of positions he has enumerated over the previous years and then to walk into office and go, I don't believe any of that crap. That was all for the TikToks. That was all to get for me to sell my magic water, whatever the hell it is. That's it. And again, I'm making that stuff up there. But that's why I think it's fair. His positions, and the one that bothers me the most is his position on vaccines, Texter. That should concern everybody. And I'll remind you of what happened in American Samoa. American Samoa was dealing with an outbreak in measles, and they were trying to up the vaccine rates. And then 2 kids that got the measles vaccine passed away. RFK Jr. and his wife and the company and the organization that he represents took out advertising and even went down to American Samoa and met with leaders and did a whole big press conference and stuff about the dangers of vaccines, and see these 2 dead kids prove this measles vaccine is awful. Come to find out, it was a mistake by 2 nurses in the situation, mixing the vaccines incorrectly and putting muscle relaxers in them that killed the kids. Had nothing to do with the effectiveness or the safety of the vaccine. But RFK Jr. was first to jump out there and made an issue. Guess what happened? Vaccine rates inside of American Samoa went down, and they had an outbreak of measles, and kids died. That's important to me, that the misinformation pushed directly out of the mouth of RFK Jr., in my mind, led to the death of kids. And I'm connecting that because he said vaccine bad. Vaccine make your kids dead and make them sick. Don't take the vaccine. People didn't. Their kids got measles and they died. That's a preventable disease. Has been for decades. The vaccine has been safe for decades. The mercury that he is mad about in the vaccines doesn't exist in the overwhelming number of vaccines. More than 99.5% of the vaccines do not carry mercury in them, but he still plants his flag there. That, for me, is an issue. And I think it's fair to critique him. During the pandemic, he was on a podcast and said, now is the time for us anti-vaxxers to come out into the world. And this is the time in which we have our opportunity. That's an issue. I got a problem with that.
I see it a little differently. What I've seen from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is raising concerns about how these vaccines are manufactured, what's in them, why we don't question them, why we don't challenge them. And there's been some things in the past, as you pointed out, that has been harmful in these vaccines, like mercury. And so that needs to be recognized. I don't see him as being totally anti-vax. I think he even agrees with that. So we'll have to continue this conversation, especially as the hearings of his confirmation continue. But you're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader. We are News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Thursday, January 16th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you're waking up in the greatest country in history. Let's get to work. We got a whole hour planned for you of engaging conversations, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, editor of the Intermountain Jewish News, is going to be joining us. Possibly peace between Israel and the Palestinians. And has there been a deal struck with Hamas? Well, seems like it, but Benjamin Netanyahu pulling it back overnight, saying he's not willing to agree to it until some changes are made with Hamas. It seems like Hamas is trying to squeak out some last-minute concessions. All of that we're going to be covering and getting insight from Rabbi Hillel Goldberg of the Intermountain Jewish News in just a few minutes. Let's check in first on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Morning, Jeff and Billy. 24 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 55 today. Our top story.
And it is tragic to see the loss of confidence in the American people, in the Department of Justice, and in the FBI. I would note, I don't think there's an institution in America who has lost more respect from the American people than the FBI has in the last 4 years.
That's Ted Cruz, of course. More confirmation hearings are being held today for DJT's cabinet picks. Former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is up to lead the Department of Interior. Pam Bondi, Trump's pick for Attorney General, will be back on Capitol Hill for the second day of her confirmation hearing today. On day one, she crushed it. Dick Blumenthal did not.
Can you say no to the President of the United States when he asks you to do something unethical or illegal?
Senator, first, I need to clarify something that you said, that I have to sit up here and say these things. No, I don't. I sit up here and speak the truth. I'm not going to sit up here and say anything that I need to say to get confirmed by this body. I don't have to say anything. I will answer the questions to the best of my ability.
And she's ready to go again this morning. Firefighters are still battling two massive blazes burning in the LA area. Winds in the region are easing up today, giving firefighters a chance to make more progress. Israel is claiming Hamas has reneged on some of its agreements in the hostage release deal. The Islamo-Nazis made a ceasefire and a hostage deal with Israel on Wednesday that would include Hamas releasing dozens of hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Today, Israel says Hamas is reneging on the understandings and creating a last-minute crisis that is preventing an agreement. Victor Davis Hanson on the deal.
I don't think it's a good deal for Israel because there's about 20% of Gaza they have to get into because that's where Hamas has fled to. And if they pull out and they release hundreds, if not thousands of terrorists, and it's a ceasefire, you know what's going to happen. They're going to get the UN, they're going to get the moderate Arab regimes to rebuild it, and then Hamas is going to threaten them, kill some, and take over again.
An executive order to save TikTok is reportedly being considered by DJT. An order would suspend enforcement of the TikTok ban or sale law for 60 to 90 days. NBC's Rory O'Neill on with Jeff and Billy this morning. If the ban goes through,
all that means is that the app will come off the App Store. The TikTok app won't be available on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. But the one on your phone, if you've already downloaded it, that will work just fine until the lack of support for the app sort of makes it wither on the vine. Now, what they're trying to do is have some domestic group here from the USA come in and buy TikTok. The law that was passed says ByteDance has to get rid of its Chinese ownership in order for TikTok to continue operating in the US. So if they can find a buyer here in the States, then everything goes along just fine.
The Broncos are keeping all their options open when it comes to where the team will play after the 2030 season. CEO Greg Penner told reporters Wednesday that the team is looking at a new stadium and options for a new stadium, including renovations to Empower Field or a possible move to a new site in Lone Tree. Penner called the questions surrounding the stadium complex and said the team still has more work to do. A plan to clear the homeless people in New Orleans from their encampments not being received well. The residents were moved to a new temporary shelter in a warehouse. People who live nearby are upset that the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, didn't give them any advance notice about this shelter. I can understand that, which will be in operation through the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. LA wildfire relief efforts are getting a big donation from Leonardo DiCaprio. The actor announced a $1 million donation on social media Wednesday, saying his donation will support both urgent needs and post-fire recovery efforts. The Rockets blast the Nuggets 128-108. The Oilers and the Avalanche tonight. 21 in Elizabeth, 22 in Erie, 24 in Denver. It's Thursday. Jeff and Billy continue.
Not a dime until those two are whacked from their jobs immediately. They are so incompetent, and all of the decisions they've made led to this, and they're still making mistakes. They're horrific managers. Whack them.
Wait,
is that about us? Hang on. Is that a voicemail about the show?
Yeah.
A little worried
Oh,
here.
wait, that was a mistake there on my part.
I know you played a voicemail about the show. You shouldn't have been playing this. I'm a little worried here. This is okay.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Had to play Mr. Wonderful. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A mild day here along the Front Range. Take advantage of today if you have to do outdoor chores or if you need to travel, because this will be the best day in a while. 50s and 60s, lows tonight in the upper 20s. On Friday, high temperatures happen before the noon hour, reaching the 40s, but temperatures plunging by afternoon. Snow Friday night, sharply colder. Snow likely Saturday, mainly in the morning, and sharply colder. Few inches of snow could accumulate Friday night through Saturday. Saturday's highs teens, going below zero Saturday night. Highs single digits in teens Sunday, below zero Sunday night. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Fox News reporting Israel's Netanyahu is possibly delaying the Gaza ceasefire vote, accusing Hamas of trying to back out of the deal. The Israel cabinet was set to ratify the deal today. Let's check in with good friend of the program, Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, the editor of the Intermountain Jewish News. Good morning, Rabbi.
Morning.
Hi, how are you?
We're hoping for maybe peace. What are your thoughts on this potential peace deal, and what is going on? It seems like maybe some last minute backing out. Your thoughts?
Well, the deal is terrific and the deal is terrible. It's both. Clearly, the release of hostages, people who've been tortured, sexually abused, starved, tormented, hidden underground, denied daylight, is a great gift for humanity, not to mention for the families. And it's also terrible because many convicted murderers are under the terms of the deal are supposed to be released. And the last time that happened in 2011, one of the people released was Yahya Sinwar, who launched the October 3rd, 2023 massacre in southern Israel that launched the war. So it's very two-sided. It's as I said, it's terrific and it's terrible. As to whether it'll actually happen, well, my Israeli friends say when they see the hostages walking across the line, they'll believe it.
Talking with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, the editor of the Intermountain Jewish News, on this potential peace deal. Now, this isn't the first time that peace has been proposed between Israel and Hamas since October 7th, right? They've gotten some possible deals, but then they seem to break down. So are you optimistic, or do you think Hamas is trying to get some last minute concessions that Israel's just not willing to go with?
Well, the reason why the previous attempts have not come to conclusion, according to the Biden administration, is that Hamas backed out. So maybe that's happening now. I'm not sure. I do think there's one really important point that needs to be made, and that is that the problem in talking about the release of hostages in the same sentence as talking about the release of Palestinian terrorists who've been convicted is this. It's not a question of numbers. Oh, they released 33 hostages, but whatever the figure is, I forget, 1,000, they're going to release 1,000 prisoners. I'm not swearing to that number. I don't know the exact number. It's a huge number. It's not a numbers comparison. There is no comparison. There is no equivalence. You're talking about innocent people on the one hand and convicted terrorists on the other. Convicted means they were convicted in Israeli courts where they were provided with all means of defense. Okay, these were not kangaroo trials. They were convicted. It's like somebody in Denver, Colorado, who takes a hostage in downtown Denver and says, well, they won't release the hostages until prisoners are released from the Denver County Jail. It's an immoral discussion. The whole world of this idea of an agreement is beyond all morality. We have to keep that in mind. Whether a deal will take place, I don't know. It seems that it will. But there are not only reservations on the part of Hamas, there's also reservations on the part of certain people in the Israeli government coalition. So whether the deal is approved, they're meeting today. We'll see.
Well, you get a sense of Israel's commitment to life, that what they're trying to get back are innocent people that were taken hostages. And you get a sense of the Palestinians' commitment to terrorism because the people they want back are convicted terrorists. We're talking with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, the editor of the Intermountain Jewish News. Now, Rabbi, both administrations, the Biden administration and the Trump administration, claiming that they helped to influence this. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that whoever claims credit today may end up with mud on his face tomorrow as blame unfolds. It depends what unfolds. Yes, to say there's a deal after all these months of war, year and a quarter of war, yes, one can say I'm taking credit. But if what happens is more war, more difficulty, then the credit will be retrospectively looked upon as blame. But my view is as to how it, without using the term credit or blame, as to how this happened, I think it's Trump. Biden's been talking about this since last May. Well, we're now in January. It's Trump saying that all hell will break loose if these hostages are not released by the time he takes office. That's what made the difference. And Trump sent his people, even though he's not president and has no authority yet. He sent his people as negotiators, and he made his sentiments perfectly clear to the Prime Minister of Israel. It was pressure, I think, that took place mainly because of Trump.
Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, editor of the Intermountain Jewish News, joining Jeff and Bill live. Question I have for you is, can you trust Hamas? They say they will enter into a ceasefire. We can judge pretty quickly as far as the terrorists and being released on one side from the Jewish side, and then the hostages being released from Hamas. But the longer-term stability of a ceasefire and no conflict, can you trust them?
Of course you can trust them, because the record speaks for itself. The record says that after, convicted prisoners are released, including convicted murderers, they come back and do it again. That's what happened with Sinwar was released in 2011, and they'll come back and try to do it again if they are left in power. The main the main controversy in the current deal is if it goes through and the hostages are released and the Palestinian prisoners are released, then does Israel have the right to go back and continue the war? That's supposed to be discussed, I think, 16 days after they're released. If not, that means that Hamas is left in power. If Hamas is left in power, yes, they will immediately try to rebuild their tunnels and rearm and reattack.
Yeah, I think there's a time frame that they're talking about the ceasefire for about 43 days and seeing if it'll renew after then. And I'm skeptical that Hamas can hold up their end of the deal. Hostages we can see right away, but the idea of ceasefire, especially once they have people that have been convicted of terrorism in the past being released, that's like getting more people on your dodgeball team in gym class. Why would you not go back into the game and start playing again since you just got more people that can execute the terrorism that you're so fond of in the first place? Now, Rabbi, you talked about the idea of giving credit for Donald Trump to this one. You said, and you accurately quoted him saying that when Donald Trump said, all hell will break loose. What did you and how do you interpret that as? What is the idea of all hell breaking loose? How is that the threat that motivated this exchange?
Well, the threat had no object. The threat didn't say all hell will break loose against Hamas. The threat said all hell will break loose. And I think it's very clear that that meant against Israel also. So, I think what Trump was saying is that every side has something to lose if they don't make a deal by the time I come into office.
What do you think that he was saying he's going to do, though? Is what I'm looking at is this is where I have the question is I have a serious question about the mechanisms or levers that Trump would have to pull that would be that much different than Biden. Other than taking off some of the restrictions placed on Israel, and Israel is only honoring those based on a gentleman's agreement at this point, I don't see what else Trump had the ability to do unless he involves American troops and firepower. What's your opinion?
Well, I think you're right. But the thing is this, Trump has a reputation for disruption. And yes, he didn't have any tools at hand other than American troops. And I don't think he wanted to do that. I don't think America wants him to do that. But he has a reputation for disruption, for unpredictability. So he doesn't need to spell out what he might do in order for people to be afraid of him.
Talking with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, editor of the Intermountain Jewish News. Rabbi, I want to talk to you about the pressure inside Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, we're getting hostages. Would this be all the hostages in return for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners?
No, not at all. They're supposed to be returning 33 hostages. Nobody knows exactly how many are still alive, but supposedly there's still 99 hostages or 100. No one knows an exact figure. And I think that's also a critical issue as to what will cause Israel to adhere or not adhere to this as things go forward. And that is this. Okay, supposedly 33 hostages and dead bodies are supposed to be released. What if the dead bodies double the number of living hostages? That's going to have a tremendous impact on Israel as to how and whether it wants to trust Hamas into the future. And Hamas doesn't release the numbers, possibly because these hostages are distributed amongst different terror groups in Gaza, not just held by Hamas. They don't even know. So if 33 living hostages come out, and plus 2 dead bodies, it's one thing. If 33 living hostages come out and 50 dead bodies, it's quite something else. And of course, right now, we don't know. But even if only 2 dead bodies come out and 33 living hostages come out, so Israel is back where it started, other than the blessed freedom for these 33 people. Because if there's another 60 hostages there, then, what has been achieved? I think what Israelis are saying internally is this. On the one hand, of course, they want the hostages back, and there's been a tremendous amount of pressure for that. On the other hand, what's going to be said is, what are we doing a deal for and releasing all these prisoners if we're not even getting back but 1/3 of the living people there?
Talking with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg. Now, Rabbi, help me understand where they could be holding these hostages still. I mean, how much of Gaza has been taken over by Israeli troops? Have they moved them up to Hezbollah, with Hezbollah in the northern parts? I mean, where is it that they could possibly be holding these hostages anymore?
In tunnels. You might recall at the very end of August 29th to 30th, there were 6 hostages that were supposed to be released within a couple hours. Pardon me, not released. That Israel was on the verge of liberating within a couple of hours, and at that point, Hamas murdered them. Murdered in cold blood, 6 hostages, and they were in tunnels. So the reason why Israel is reluctant to try to release hostages from tunnels is that they may be endangering their lives. So clearly they're underground, and clearly the control of Gaza overground is not enough. It's a very difficult situation for the Israeli army because unless they have an airtight intelligence and system for liberating hostages in tunnels, they risk their lives.
Talking with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg. Rabbi, I remember at one point there was a toddler or maybe even an infant that was taken hostage. Have you heard any update on whatever happened to him?
Well, that toddler is still there, and hopefully that toddler is still alive.
Wow.
And supposedly the categories of people to be released in these 33 hostages include children. So that's supposed to include this toddler. Is the toddler still alive? I guess we'll find out.
I want to pivot now to Iran. Can you give us an update on Iranian activities? Hezbollah, Israel has done quite a lot to flex its power and its strength in the Middle East and has put Iran on their back heels, from my perspective. Give us an update on what's happening in Iran towards Israel.
Well, here's what I fear. Iran has lost Hezbollah as an ally. It's lost Hamas as an ally. It's lost Syria as an ally. And it's lost its air defenses due to a strike last October by Israel. So what does it have left? All it has left is a nuclear option. I fear that if that is not taken care of in short order, they will pursue that. They don't have any motivation any longer not to.
Did we lose him?
No, I think he's.
We got you. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, in other words, Iran has lost its conventional capacity to a great extent. So therefore, if it wants to remain an actor in the area, it has to fall back on what it has, and that's a nuclear program. That's very scary. And I have, I've just questioned, I've just puzzled why Israel hasn't taken that program out already. I'm puzzled why the Biden administration hasn't done that. The Biden administration, of course, appeased Iran for the entire 4 years of this administration, continuing to give it money, releasing billions of dollars, and negotiating with it when negotiations went nowhere. And they even got upset at Israel when it assassinated the political chief of Hamas, Hania, in Tehran, as if the killing of a major terrorist was a problem instead of a victory. So I fear for what Iran might do, and I hope that somehow or another Trump will see the light and enable or just even permit Netanyahu to do this.
Talking with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, editor of the Intermountain Jewish News. Final area I want to explore: anti-Semitism in America. We all remember those campus protests that popped up directly confronting Jews, Jewish students not able to go to class, just rife anti-Semitism, even down at the state capitol this last session. Have things improved in America? Do Jews in America feel like that moment has passed? Or are they still concerned about anti-Semitism?
They're still concerned. I don't think they think the moment has passed. What has happened is the opposite of civil rights
and the Department of Education has cracked down on many universities based on complaints by Jews and others about what Hamas sympathizers did to Jewish students on campus. So that has been improved a bit. But the whole idea that somehow or another, if you believe that Israel should exist, then you have no right to live. You have no right to participate in society. That perverted thought has not gone away. That's very worrisome. I don't think the anti-Semitism question is going to be solved, even if this ceasefire deal goes through and another ceasefire deal goes through and the whole war ends. Everybody lives happily ever after, quote unquote. This anti-Semitism is a genie out of the body, out of the bottle. It's very dangerous.
Absolutely, and terrible at how this has continued to have been promoted by some institutions, academics, even down at the Colorado State Capitol, where you had it coming from lawmakers. So it's something that continues to needs to be confronted, I think, by people of goodwill to recognize the great impact that our Jewish friends and neighbors have made to our community, to our history, to Western civilization. And those threats even come from the hard right sometimes. Rabbi, we haven't talked much about this, but do you want to expand on maybe not just how progressive pro-Palestinians have been driving anti-Semitism, but even some of those on the hard right have been promoting anti-Semitism?
This is certainly true. Let me give you an anecdote. We publish a newspaper, the Intermountain Jewish News. Like any publisher of a newspaper, we have to publish a lot of things. Nobody wants to read just one thing. People want to have some entertainment. They want to have some features. They want to have some hard news and so forth. If I were to publish every story that I receive of an anti-Semitic incident that happens in the United States or around the world, I would fill the entire newspaper. There would be no story about anything else. For every story about an anti-Semitic incident that happened in some part of this country or some place or in London, there's 10 other stories I'm not running. It's really become a plague. And yes, you see it on the right, you see it on the left, because it's irrational. So if it's irrational, then any bad actor can pick it up.
Well, Rabbi, I really appreciate you taking time today to give us an update on these peace accords. We're going to continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for the peace of the Middle East, for the protection of the Jewish people, and against the threats of the Middle East, as well as anti-Semitism coming out of the rest of the world, and unfortunately this country as well. Rabbi, thank you so much. If you want to get a subscription to Intermountain Jewish News, great newspaper, go to IJN.com. IJN.com. Rabbi Hillel Goldberg, the editor of the Intermountain Jewish News, joining the Jeff and Bill Show. Thanks so much, Rabbi.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks for your prayers.
Absolutely, every time, no doubt about that. I'm grateful for Jewish friends and great contributions they make.
Didn't thank me, I think personally. Just like, yeah, okay, fine. Not talking to the other guy. Okay, fine. No, it's okay.
Bill, do you have a subscription to Intermountain Jewish News? Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, okay. That's nicely done. No, and there are times in which I understand the guests, when they have more of the interaction with you, often say, "Yeah, goodbye, just to you." And I thought that was funny.
And we've had a friendship over many years.
Oh yeah, I know. So. That's the thing, is you guys know each other, and so that's sometimes because of those friendships is why I back away from some of those conversations and more, because that familiar conversation is better than me poking my nose in there sometimes. So
we like your nose being poked.
Only if you get to smack it.
Look, it's just not normal. The pain caused from chronic joint pain day after day, but some of you have dealt with that pain for so long, it's become your new normal. Short-term fixes are not working. Make the decision now to say no. You're not going to live with it. Get moving again in 2025 with help from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine and joint preservation. So what is regenerative medicine? Joel uses QC Kinetics here. Here's the deal. They would draw some blood. They spin it out, get to that healing plasma. That healing plasma is then put into your joints, and your body heals itself. I know. Amazing, right? No steroids, no drugs, no surgery. This is the future of medicine, using an array of natural solutions like PRP to attack the pain from arthritis. Tens of thousands of people with pain have discovered these cellular treatments and are living life again without that constant pain in their joints. Want to learn more about how you can refresh your joints, get lasting relief with these amazing treatments? Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Deal with joint pain now so you can make the most of the new year. Call QC Kinetics. That's 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986. With locations in Aurora, Superior, Highlands Ranch, and the Springs. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Pam Bondi, the woman President Donald Trump tapped to be the Attorney General, flipped the script on Senator Adam Schiff after he tried to bait her with politically...
At this hour, I'm Christina Wayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Pam Bondi, the woman President Donald Trump tapped to be the Attorney General, flipped the script on Senator Adam Schiff after he tried to bait her with politically motivated questions about Liz Cheney. Watch.
I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one
Based
has
on what
asked
you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a
The
hypothetical.
president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called-
also
the
worried about
president-
Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
You know what
called
we
for
should
this-
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
The
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You
is
are
through
aware,
the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your
my-
robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87%
my
higher
question-
than the national
My question
average.
is this.
That's what I
My
want to
question
be
is
focused
this.
on,
Do
Senator.
you have the
if I'm
power to
confirmed
say
as
no to the
Attorney
president?
General.
Social media giant Meta will reportedly lay off 3,600 employees this year, according to recent filings. The company is terminating staff based on their poor performance and says they will hire new workers to replace them. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg reportedly made the announcement in an internal note to employees, saying he wants to raise the bar on performance management and move out low performers faster. About 72,000 people work for Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Threads.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Wayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Hey, you know what was most interesting in that conversation with Rabbi Hillel Goldberg was him admitting that, we got some breaking news.
Yes.
Ron DeSantis picking Attorney General Ashley Moody, Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody, to replace Rubio.
Huh.
Huh.
What do you think about that?
No idea who that is.
Yeah, I haven't looked.
I literally, right before this, I was like, Florida Republicans are a little funny. They're kind of incestuous.
Yeah, they are. And that's, yeah. And we were just talking off air about, I think this gives us a little bit of insight into the strategery of DeSantis that based on who this pick is, and I don't know enough about Ashley Moody to figure this out, but is this something that ingratiates himself into the Trump circle, or is this something that sets him up as the guy that can take over the mantle and run as the MAGA candidate in the next election cycle? Is he trying to outmaneuver people like J.D. Vance or Vivek? Because how much of an ally and asset is this? I'm familiar with the, the Surgeon General down there guy, but Moody, I don't know. Huh? Interesting. I'm interested on that one.
Born in 1975, she's an American attorney and politician who served as the 38th Attorney General for Florida. Moody previously served as U.S. Attorney and Circuit Judge in the Hillsborough County. During her tenure as Attorney Florida General, Moody has supported lawsuits to invalidate the Affordable Care Act, advocated against restoration of voting rights for former felons, opposed the legalization of recreational marijuana. She was a significant supporter of then President Donald Trump in Florida during the 2020 presidential election and joined in the Texas v. Pennsylvania lawsuit, which sought to challenge the election results. So
interesting. So I think that tells us where we're going, except she no longer believes that thing about the felons and voting anymore. I think she's not worried about that one.
That's pretty funny.
I appreciate that. I had to get that one in there. I had to.
But I mean, this is, and when I joke about it being incestuous, it's just the sense that like, Donald Trump really likes the Florida network of Republicans.
Oh, yeah, does he ever?
Like,
yes.
Pam Bondi is coming from that. Marco Rubio is coming from that.
I'm of the mind.
Pam Bondi's now going to be elevated.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that if he could have, he would have picked Rubio as the Veep. But because of you can't have two from Florida, I think that was the problem. I really think he would have taken Rubio as Veep. Because of just some, bona
but I don't
fides
blame him. I would, if
either.
I was a Colorado Republican elected official, I'd probably show up with a lot of Colorado Republicans.
Oh yeah,
there's just not a lot of us.
Yeah, people that you know. Yeah, people that you know, people that you trust, and that's part of the thing is that we know that inside of Trump's circle, loyalty is prized more than anything else, and I'm certain that he feels he can trust them, and so that's why he's pulling them, out of Florida. Interesting.
So going back to, we'll get some more information on Ashley Moody as she's been selected by Ron DeSantis to become the next U.S. Senator to replace Marco Rubio.
On a side note, that's a super sweet gig, though, just to be given the seat. I mean, ask Michael Bennett about how difficult that makes your life after
Barack
that.
Obama. That's how he got his seat.
I know, but I like the idea of Bennett. He's just like, I got this. I'm picking the government check, and I don't care. I'm just gonna mail it
office.
in. Oh yeah, never took all the advantages of incumbency and has done. And no, let's see. Bennett has helped push the. No, he was front on the major piece of he made sure to stand up and make speech. No, I can't. I don't know what the hell he's been doing. I have no idea what he's been doing all this time in Congress, but we re-elect him. Yay.
So, with Rabbi Goldberg, he mentioned that his biggest concern right now is that Iran's out of options.
That is a problem. That's a huge problem. Yeah. What are they going to do in the international stage? Yeah. What?
I mean, Syria doesn't want to deal with them. Hezbollah doesn't want to deal with them. Hamas doesn't want to deal. They've all been abandoned at this point by Iran, and Israel has proved they can strike. They put that bomb that killed the guy in Iran was planted 2 years before. 2 years that thing sat there.
Oh yeah, and we know that.
And then they activated it. That is crazy.
And we know that they were able to implant some code and things into the computers inside of the nuclear
to spin
facilities.
them up.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, all the guys, that story's wild because all the guys on the computers are just sitting there and all the computers are reading fine.
Yeah. And they don't see any of
they're
it.
self-destructing in the other room.
Yeah. He's like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. And I'm curious what this means as far as does Iran feel backed into a corner? Where are they going to look? Because really right now you have Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. If you had to create a new axis of evil, those are the four. And part of what we're seeing right now in my mind is, and I wish the U.S. was stronger in Ukraine. I think part of the problem that we're going to have with this settlement of the conflict in Ukraine is North Korea has now become more of a major player internationally because for years, nobody wanted to buy anything from North Korea. North Korea wasn't exporting bupkis, but now they're exporting weapons and other things into Russia because Russia needs trade partners because of how they have been compartmentalized by international sanctions. So they are running out of trade partners. And now North Korea has a trade partner that has a lot of money compared to what they have. And so I'm worried about this. I'm worried about the coalescing between those foreign nations, because if Iran was going to want to do something a little sideways, North Korea and Russia would be happy to play along. China, I think, wants financial dominance, not military dominance. I believe that China thinks they can achieve military dominance through financial dominance. I don't think that's their play. I don't think outside of grabbing Taiwan militarily, I don't think they've got to play militarily anywhere else. But Russia, yeah, they've shown they will. North Korea would be happy if someone would hold a war they could participate in. And Iran's always gunning for it. I think that's the danger right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the concern, I mean, Iran has always been the big problem in the Middle East, and that's gonna continue. But Israel has shown how to take them on, which I think is really important because it's going to set the tone for how Donald Trump's going to react, right? That you don't need to, you can be very tough. You can strike directly at Iran and not end up in a big Middle Eastern war, because I think there's probably some people in Iran, maybe mostly the people there. Because you remember Iran used to be kind of like a Western country.
Yeah.
I think that's still there. You ever talk to Persians?
Yeah.
That like long for that?
Yeah.
So I think that's still there.
I think it could be too. It could
So
be.
I think if you maybe took out the top, you could see some rebalancing there.
Yeah. The question would be the how. That's the issue, is who's going to be responsible, who's going to
They're
pull the
coming
trigger.
up. They're coming up with stuff I can't even fathom right now.
Yeah. And how does that, and what does that look like? That's where part of me, I still disagree with Trump pulling us out of the nuclear agreement with Iran because because of having
disagree with that.
Yeah, because of it allows us to have eyes on the situation, and the idea of pulling out of the agreement didn't mean that Iran was going to go, okay, sorry, we're not going to do anything with the nuclear weapons. We've learned our lesson. We took away one of the constraints on what could have been a control on that. And no, I was going to tell you about something, but no, that might appear in You Choose the News tomorrow. So I can't pop that balloon until
Biden
tomorrow.
was sending airplanes full of cash to Iran.
But that was their cash, not ours. It wasn't taxpayer cash. It was theirs.
We should be. I don't care. Take it all.
I don't know.
We're in like a war with them. Might as well.
I don't know if you're getting
give your
things,
opponents their own cash back.
Well, it is theirs. I mean, and I understand that given other things you want them to get to do, that might be the carrot that you need to offer them. Because again, you're not taking it out of your own treasury, and so there's part of that. Although I still do say that the strongest thing that Biden could have and should have done post Israel and Hamas starting the conflict is he should have taken the cash and said, I'm now putting it in this account and I'm earmarking it to rebuild Gaza, West Bank, everything else after this. That would have been good. And he should have said, I'm certain that Iran would be making this investment along with us. We are going to circumvent that and we're going to do this. You want to force Iran to take the public position of, no, don't use our money to rebuild the people's land and stuff that we've been supporting. You want to force them into that position. And I think he totally made a mistake on that one, because you keep the money away from Iran, you direct it in a different area, and you make the PR very difficult for that nation.
Interesting.
But what do I know?
Do you think that this Hamas-Israel deal is going to stick? Benjamin Netanyahu already starting to back away from it because Hamas is apparently in these last moments being difficult to work with. So could he get this deal done? And I'm just always shocked. I'm always shocked that the trade, as Rabbi Hillel Goldberg brought up, is innocent civilians for imprisoned terrorists. And if that just doesn't tell you everything about this conflict.
Yeah, but what do you get back? I mean, what do you think? I mean, you got to trade. You got to get the hostages back with something. What do you do? I mean, you're sitting at that table. You can't force them. You can't say, I'm going to give them back. We're going to shoot you. I mean, we're already doing that. And that's the problem. What's the chip?
I watched that video that IDF did, and there's phone calls of the terrorists back to their parents.
Oh, yeah.
I got another Jew. Mom, I got another Jew. I'm going to go shoot 2-3 more Jews.
Oh, yeah.
These are just people that want the total destruction of Israel. So I don't know how you negotiate at all with them. And they end up taking the innocent civilians, toddlers. We're going to exchange terrorist prisoners for toddlers. I think that tells you everything about this conflict. All right. Do you know a high school student who has a passion for engaging in cultural and political issues? The knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree program in politics with an emphasis in public policy prepares students for the complex challenges of modern politics with an unapologetically Christian and foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinct program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than to our politics and public policy program. Apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, Billy, would you do the polar plunge?
How much money?
Money for donation.
I wear a weird costume like that. If I could, then maybe.
Would you jump into water with weird? I would want to be in a
maybe.
Speedo.
Oh God, no. No.
That's the quickest way to dry off.
No. That's the quickest way to get very cold. No. And I'm only speaking from a little bit. You've got some personal experience too, getting dumped into water with snow runoff. You know that 32 degrees water,
and that's why you don't wear a lot of clothes.
No. That's I spent my time in the 30-degree water. No, I want to make it. I want to make this a spectacle. I want to make sure this is fun. If I'm going to do something that ridiculous, we are going all in. I'm going to lean as hard as I can into the ridiculous nature.
Well,
of that
we
process.
may have to do just that. It's coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Joseph DeLand, lieutenant at the City of Lone Tree Police Department, is going to talk to us all about the polar plunge, supporting public safety at the City of Lone Tree.
Wait, public safety? Is it safe to jump in the water like this when it's so cold? Hypothermia and stuff. Just questioning, is it safe? Safe
versus deadly. I don't know.
I don't know. And I've heard most of the people that have done the polar plunge have gotten out just fine. Most of them. Yeah. I think they found most of the bodies about May. Yeah,
I started to do some of the Wim Hof like cold showers and then ice plunges and all that stuff to try to what it does is it rushes all the blood to your core and then it's supposed to wake you up and get your brain going. And clearly I didn't do that today.
No, the cold tub is for post athletic matches and soccer and stuff.
Right.
That's when you hit the cold tub. That's when it feels amazing. No. Not to start out the day. That's a nightmare.
First thing in the morning.
That's it. You'll start seeing things and have visions if you do that kind of stuff. No.
So Billy and I are going to talk to a police officer next to know we're not in trouble, but we could be. We'll see if we get arrested. You're going to be listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
the Mile High City on this Thursday, January 16th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You're heading to work in the greatest country in history. Let's get after it. We got a whole hour planned for you of engaging discussions, critical analysis, most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Speaking of most important issues, Jason in Denver texting, nothing like seeing Billy in a thermal Speedo.
Ooh, does that mean I have to shave? I just get the wax. That's what I need. Yes.
Exactly right. Well, coming up is the Polar Plunge. The city of Lone Tree is doing this to raise funds for safety in the city of Lone Tree. And joining us on Zoom, Joseph DeLand. He's the lieutenant at the city of Lone Tree Police Department. Lieutenant, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
I do not have audio.
I do not either.
He is talking, but I'm not hearing him.
Well, I do not.
Fantastic mustache.
Yeah, he does. I'm kind of jealous. Okay, here. Let's do this.
Yep.
Let's toss to Blake and let's figure out.
All right, we'll figure it out. Let's go to news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Of course, you tossed to me now, and I'm resetting my computer. Hold on one sec.
We'll get to that. We'll get to Blake Olson in a second. Let me tell you about Dan Kaplis and Dan Kaplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. I've known Dan for well over a decade. This guy's pro-life, pro-family, pro-America, pro-faith. That matters. When you show up in that courtroom and if you hired somebody just because you saw them go by on a bus billboard, the message that's sent to everybody is you're not serious. You show up with Dan Kaplis, you're showing up with the A-team, a guy that's solid. And even being more than just a great guy with solid values, Dan is a real winner in the courtroom. Listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. In fact, Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted that they're the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law is a serious firm. For serious cases, Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis. That means he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's his phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551. Or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. Quick, Billy, run. We've got a police officer here.
Yes,
that was Bill and I in middle school.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're grown up. We're serious. But joining us.
Yeah, we can't run that fast anymore. So we can't do all the naughty stuff.
Lieutenant at the city of Lone Tree Police Department, Joseph DeLand. Good morning, Lieutenant.
Morning.
Good morning. Hey, sorry about that. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys having us on.
Well, first of all, thanks for all you do for the community of Lone Tree. My kids go to school in this community, and it is so great, very safe. You guys are on top of all of it. I love it, but we're not going to talk about crime and policing today. We're going to talk about the Polar Plunge. What is this all about?
Yes, sir. So every year for the last 20 years roughly in Colorado, we have done the Polar Plunge. So what that is everybody pledges money, and we jump into a freezing lake in the middle of the winter. It's freezing for a reason, as we call it. It's to raise money for Special Olympics Colorado. If you're not familiar with Special Olympics Colorado, it's a fantastic organization that allows those with intellectual disabilities to compete and be part of a community. And so we try to raise as much money as we can through the Polar Plunge in order so that all the athletes and their families can actually participate free of charge.
That's fantastic. You guys you mentioned you've been doing this for 20 years. Is that right?
So this will be my 14th jump this year. I've been with Lone Tree now for 16 years. I've only missed 2 years in their interim. The Polar Plunge has been roughly that long. We used to do it at Chatfield Reservoir. This year we're doing it at Aurora. We've done that for about the last 5 years. It's a great opportunity. Like I said, I've done it 14 times. I actually started support Special Olympics back when I was in middle school. My father was a chief of police, and he was a huge supporter of Special Olympics. So it's something that I've been involved with most of my life, actually. It's a great organization, and it's a great way for people to help their community.
Kelly in our office is telling us that Billy and I get to jump in. All right, so I've gotten in some cold water before as a river guide. It is hard, man. Okay. Your whole body seizes up. Your brain basically is like, get out of here as fast as I can. You can hardly think straight. That's right. You've done this for 14 years, Lieutenant Joseph DeLand. How do you do it? How do you prepare yourself? And then when you jump in, what happens to you?
Yeah, and as a child, who hurt you that makes you do this over and over again? I'm teasing.
Well, this is what I'll tell you. And I tell this to all the jumpers before we jump in. It's supposed to hurt. It is supposed to be uncomfortable. If we were raising money to go sit on a beach, no one would donate. The point is people donate money for us to jump in because it's supposed to be uncomfortable, which it is. You know, I can tell you one year, I think it was about 3 years ago, it was about 11 degrees prior to jumping. And they had the fire department out there checking us for hypothermia. Now, everybody was fine. There were no long-term issues, but they were just making sure that we're okay. So the point is, it's supposed to be difficult, right? We're doing something difficult to raise money for a great cause. And, you know, every year about this time, I start thinking, oh, I got to get in that cold water again. But like I said, it's for a great cause. We raised a lot of money last year. The City of Lone Tree Police Department raised almost $30,000 for the cause. This year, we're hoping to raise roughly the same. So that's a great point. You fellas think like you want to jump with us this year? What do you think?
Dude, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Bill, you really?
Yeah.
Again, my level of public embarrassment. Yeah, if it works out as far as the schedule and the time, I'm all in. Okay, now, Lieutenant, what I want to know with you is how do you prepare? What do you wear, and what do the rest of the officers wear to give us a little bit of tips as far as jumping with you? And how do you prepare for it? I mean, is it something that for like a week or so you wander around with like cold packs in your trousers or something, or just pouring ice down each other's backs? And what do we need to do to get ready for this thing?
There's really nothing you can do to prepare. It's just going to be very uncomfortable.
That doesn't make me feel better.
You got to wear shoes because you're because you're jumping into a lake. Maybe a couple cold showers prior. That might help you get acclimated to it, but nothing's going to quite prepare you for when you jump out. The problem is you go in, right? And it's cold. Don't get me wrong. But when you come out and that wind is blowing and it's evaporating all the water, that already cold water off your body, whoo, pins and needles. It hurts. But again, the point is it should, right? We're trying to do something difficult to raise money for a fantastic organization. So the point is, freezing for a reason, to suffer for this cause. Like I said, Special Olympics is a tremendous organization. It's been around since the 1960s. It gives a sense of belonging, community to those who participate in it. And it's been a strong relationship between law enforcement and Special Olympics since 1983, roughly, when the torch run started in Kansas. And law enforcement has been supporting Special Olympics really ever since. And it's been a really, really good partnership. But, this year we're trying to expand that. Now, we're in law enforcement, but we really are here at the City of Lone Tree. We're inviting anybody to come and join us, right? Sounds like you guys are going to be there. So we'll see you there, March 29th, jump into the water. But we want to invite anybody in the Lone Tree community or broader community to either donate, support, or come along and jump with us. You want to come out and you want to get in the water, you want to raise money, please come and join us. You can search the Aurora Polar Plunge. We're the City of Lone Tree team. Feel free to join up. We'll also push some stuff out on the City of Lone Tree social media so that you have access to the links. If you just want to donate, that's great. If you're a local business and you want to support us, feel free. We have a partnership with our Lone Tree Brewing. If you guys have ever been there, it's a great business. They're going to support us. They're brewing an actual Freezing for a Reason beer to help people support the Polar Plunge. Some of the proceeds are going to actually go to the Polar Plunge. So there's a lot of way for people to get involved. But the best way is to jump in water and raise some money.
Oh, hey, now Lieutenant Joseph DeLand joining us from the Lone Tree Police Department. Jeff and I looks like we're joining in, peer pressured into doing this Polar Plunge thing. It makes me feel makes me feel a lot better. We're doing it in March rather than February. I'm good there. Now I'm telling you, sir, if you're looking for someone that's difficult and can cause suffering, I am your guy. You can go look no further. And maybe what we need to talk about is we can connect here with KNUS and we can do some sort of fundraising that if we can reach a certain fundraising goal or we can get someone to donate a certain amount of money, they can come and I will let them push me into the water. Because there are a lot of our listeners that would love the chance to push me into freezing cold water, and I'm all for it. Let's make this thing happen.
I love that. Yeah, come on, let's do this. Let's raise money. Like I said,
absolutely.
What a better cause to raise money. Yeah, let's do it.
So this is March 29th, Aurora Reservoir. And you guys are going to have links up here soon on Lone Tree social media. I think I just Googled Aurora Polar Plunge Special Olympics, and it took me right there. Okay.
Excellent.
There it is. And they've got a 5K. It looks like they do.
They'll have
do they do
so
a
yes,
run?
If you don't want to get in the water, you can do the 5K before if you just want to do that, which is great. Any way that you support Special Olympics is fantastic. Fantastic.
True.
However, we want you guys to get in the water with us.
I'm up for it. Hey, and Bill, look, Liberty Energy. That's Chris Wright. That's the new Secretary of Energy is supporting this as well. I wonder if he'll be in.
Hey, maybe we can
at least sponsoring
Let's have him donate.
Right, those oil and gas guys.
Yes,
we like to use oil and gas to warm up. After
we need some of that sweet government cheese. Yeah. He's gonna have fat government contracts. That's what we need.
Now, Lieutenant Joseph DeLand, I've gotten kind of into the Wim Hof breathing technique. All right. Do you know anything about?
Oh, there you go.
Do you know the Wim Hof breathing technique?
I am slightly familiar with Wim Hof. Yes, I am.
Because he's all about how you like basically force a ton of oxygen in your body, basically to the point of hyperventilating. And then you force it all out and you hold your breath as long as you can. It like supposed to kind of kick on different parts of your body. And then you're supposed to do this and you can get into the cold water easier. And he's all about this in combination of cold baths and all that stuff. So I'm doing my best. I think by March 29th, it could be ready to go.
Now, he did some wild stuff. He stayed in the cold for quite a while doing that breathing technique. We're only looking for about 30 seconds in and out from you guys, but that might get you there. Do a little bit of that Wim Hof breathing.
Well, and the idea of pushing Bill in is brilliant.
Oh, heck yeah. So. I'm all for that. And I'm telling you, if that water is as cold as you say it is, sir, then, I might do my best Jesus impersonation, just run across the top of the water until I can get back to this. I get back to the shore.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. There was a couple years, there's one year where they actually had to cut a hole in the ice for us to jump down into the water and then pop out. So, it's a mixed bag in Colorado, what you're going to get temperature-wise. My hope is that it's as cold as possible so that we really everybody gets money's worth to see us suffering out there. And maybe we can set something up like you guys were saying. You used to run from the cops a lot when you were teenagers. So, I feel free to chase you right into that water. I'll pack you in there. We'll make it happen. You can relive your youth.
We got to do something.
Full circle there. All right, Lieutenant, we know you're very busy keeping the people and the citizens of the city of Lone Tree safe. Thank you so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Polar Plunge supporting Special Olympics.
Oh, Lieutenant, we sure appreciate you. All the hard work that you do each and every day. Thank you for spending time with us today. And for God's sake, go do something productive with your day rather than spending it with us right now. We appreciate you.
You guys are too kind. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. We'll see everybody at the Polar Plunge.
March 29th. We'll get the links up on social media. You can donate to help Special Olympics. Great organization.
How did that just happen? Now we're jumping into cold water. How did that happen? What happened
Bill,
here?
We are absolutely the types of guys that just come up with that stuff on a whim.
Oh, absolutely.
We're at a bar and let's go.
Oh, heck yeah. The number of times that through teenage years and early 20s, like, no, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let's find out.
Do you know how many times it was let's go mess with the cops? And it was just random. So now it is full circle.
Oh yeah, my
coming back to get us, Billy.
And I know that my wonderful mother is listening right now, and she still has not heard the entire story of the night in which ran from the police in 3 different jurisdictions. 3. Oh yes.
I can't compete with that. We just used to make fun of the cops that were sleeping in their cars in Cherry Hills parking lots because there's nothing to do in Cherry Hills. And then my buddies and I would run up and bang on the sides of the cop cars and then take off running. And it was through Cherry Hills neighborhoods, which is, there's no lampposts, there's no sidewalks. You just disappear.
Yeah, just disappear wherever. Ours was,
and now the cops are throwing us into a cold lake.
Oh yeah, they're
full circle. Bill.
They're going to be. They won't know it, but they're going to be some law officers who'll be very, very happy that I finally get something coming to me. Yes, absolutely.
All right, someone are texting. They want to know if we can push in some of the other callers. Someone wants to know if they could push Joe from Arvada.
I'd love to have Joe out there. In fact, I'd let Joe push me in. I mean, there's so many things there. We gotta do this. This is gonna be fun. I'm excited about this one. And here's the problem though for me, just personally, it's just you, me, and Jeff, that it's kind of a thing that we got until March. And polar bears, they have like in whales and things and walruses, they have a layer of blubber that's supposed to keep them warm. You're very healthy. I've been trying to be more healthy in some of the choices I've been making. I'm kind of thinking I need to put on some weight. I'm kind of thinking I need to go like full McDonald's, like supersize me kind of a thing, and go ahead and put on as much possible. I need extra blubber. Yes, to protect me. I'm wondering. Yeah, I think in that way, when my wife is like, honey, should you be eating that? I'm like, hey, I am training here. I'm working on the polar plunge. This is all necessary. I don't think she'll believe me, but I could try it.
Gabe's willing to give us some Raider shirts to wear into the polar plunge. Thanks, Gabe, for that opportunity.
That's wonderful. I will wear it as a loincloth.
All right.
I love you, Gabe. I'm just teasing you. I'm teasing you, man. I love the Raiders. You guys are great.
That is good. All right. Coming up, you'll never believe. Didn't we go to Blake?
No,
we haven't done Blake yet?
No, he's right here. Here's Blake.
Dude, I got so thrown off because we went to Blake and their tech, and then I did the read.
He's thinking about the cold water.
I have a promo for you. Come watch Barney push Billy into the.
I do give a damn. Oh, heck yeah.
Liberals, it's all about
I'm not a liberal.
That's all.
I'm not a liberal.
Yeah, you are.
I am not. No,
And
no.
it's
I
all
may be.
about you. Yeah, I think you probably are, Billy. I'm pretty sure.
Come watch Barney push Billy into the reservoir.
You know what would happen is the idea is I would be standing on like the edge of the dock, standing there waiting for him, and Barney would start at the beginning edge and go, and he'd get that mad face like, and then run at me really fast and straight into the water. Yes.
Yeah, Flintstone.
Exactly.
Legs.
Yeah, spinning. Yes, exactly.
Oh man, I love it.
Oh, it's gonna be
Well,
great.
I'm glad
All right.
you guys are gonna
Blake,
have a ball there.
You
That's
coming
great.
down to join us?
Say
I'm
no.
actually
Say no,
going,
Blake. Say
I'm
no.
going to Siberia on that day.
Exactly. Good job. And you got to get your pet washed, and you've got to clean the garage, and there's things you got to do, man.
Yeah, we'll see. Lone
Very
Tree
smart.
Police are the greatest, though, man. They used to close my garage door all the time for me at like 3 a.m. when I used to live there. They're
Because
awesome.
you would forget?
Yes, I would forget, or the kids would leave it up, whatever. And they would drive by, hey, man, we got your garage door again last night. No, they were good. They are awesome. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Good luck to you guys. 29 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 55 today. Our top story.
Ms. Bondi, you know that there is a difference between acknowledging it and, I can say that Donald Trump won the 2024 election. I may not like it, but I can say it. You cannot say who won the 2020 presidential election.
I can. He won. Crazy Maisie and DJT's cabinet picks on Capitol Hill again today as Senate confirmation hearings continue. Former North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is up to lead the Department of Interior. Former NFL player Scott Turner, who worked in the White House during 47's first term, is DJT's pick to lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Maisie Hirono sips something out of an aluminum cup and straw, and she's worth the price of admission.
On August 25th, 2025, on Fox News, you said, when Republicans take back the White House.
Refreshing. Israel says Hamas is backing out of some of its agreements in the hostage release deal. The terrorists made a ceasefire and hostage deal with Israel Wednesday that would include Hamas releasing dozens of hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Today, Hamas is reneging on the understandings and creating a last-minute crisis that's preventing the agreement. That's what Israel says. Rabbi Hillel Goldberg on with Jeff and Billy last hour.
The deal is terrific and the deal is terrible. It's both. Clearly, the release of hostages, people who've been tortured, sexually abused, starved, tormented, hidden underground, denied daylight is a great gift. And it's also terrible because many convicted murderers are under the terms of the deal are supposed to be released. And the last time that happened in 2011, one of the people released was Yahya Sinwar, who launched the October 3rd, 2023 massacre in southern Israel that launched the war.
Crews are making progress on two massive fires burning in the LA area. Of course, the Palisades fire is now 22% contained. The Eden fire is at 55%. The fires have left at least 25 people dead and thousands of homes and businesses, of course, destroyed. President Biden shuffled up to the mic last night for the last time, God willing, to speak to the American people. He has a dire warning.
That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy.
Well, he forgot about the last 4 years. Three-time national championship winning head football coach, college football coach Urban Meyer is set to join Nick Saban in the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame. Meyer went 187-32 over 17 seasons at Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State, of course, and he was an assistant at CSU way back in the day. All right, the Broncos talking about their possible new stadium in Lone Tree, or maybe not. Greg Penner talked to the reporters on Wednesday, and they're keeping all their options open. Maybe they'll renovate the stadium. I call it the new stadium. It is a new stadium. It's only 23 years old or something like that. So renovations, or maybe a new location. Stadium in Lone Tree. We shall see. Penner called the question surrounding the stadium complex. I'm sure. The Rockies blast the Nuggets 128-108. The Oilers at the Avalanche tonight. 21 in Elizabeth, 22 in Erie, 24 in Denver. It is Thursday. Jeff and Billy continue.
My name is Captain Jennifer Wilcox. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Caucasian female wearing a black shirt uniform with eyewear and a black hat.
Yeah. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A mild day here along the Front Range. Take advantage of today if you have to do outdoor chores or if you need to travel, because this will be the best day in a while. 50s and 60s, lows tonight in the upper 20s. On Friday, high temperatures happen before the noon hour, reaching the 40s, but temperatures plunging by afternoon. Snow Friday night, sharply colder. Snow likely Saturday, mainly in the morning, and sharply colder. Few inches of snow could accumulate Friday night through Saturday. Saturday's highs teens, going below zero Saturday night. Highs single digits and teens Sunday, below zero Sunday night. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
You go to x.com/Jeff Hunt. I got a link there where you can donate to support the Lone Tree Police Department as they engage in the Polar Plunge to raise funds for the Special Olympics. Goal to raise $30,000. Billy, I'm looking at those pictures.
They don't look happy.
They don't look happy.
No.
They look cold.
I'm also looking at what are they wearing? I'm trying to take cues from what they're allowed to do.
They're wearing clothes, which I will tell you as a river guide is a mistake. You need to go as skimpy as you can because you can dry off faster. Trying to pull a wet, cold t-shirt off. Oh, painful.
That is true. That is true.
No, just go in your Speedo and then grab a towel and dry off. All right. So, Bill, some bad news.
Uh-oh, what?
There was a lot of destruction in those wildfires.
Oh, yeah.
As you know,
in LA,
lives lost.
Oh, yeah. It's been horrible.
Right?
Yeah.
Terrible. Hunter Biden's artwork worth millions of dollars has been destroyed.
Wait, I got a question there. Did you say millions?
Mm-hmm.
Not. I just wait. It was millions of dollars, not millions of pennies.
A trove of nearly 200 artworks by Hunter Biden has been destroyed. One of the casualties of the wildfires raging in Los Angeles. New York Post is reporting the controversial art has been in storage near the Pacific Palisade home of Hunter Biden's Hollywood attorney, Kevin Morris, and is valued at millions of dollars. Morris, who loaned the first son nearly $5 million to help him pay a tax bill, has been financing a documentary on him, lives in the sprawling 5-bedroom, 6-bathroom home, which is among the few houses still intact in one of the posh neighborhoods, the New York Post can confirm. But last week, as the fire began to rage, it may have taken out one of the storage facilities where all that artwork was hanging out.
I'm just saying, I think the word trove is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence.
200 pieces of artwork. 200.
You know, this is the thing is what I love is the fact that he's like 200 pieces of artwork worth millions. It's like that idea of, I was talking about the insurance scam where, oh, my house is burnt down. Here's a list of all things I lost. My Picassos, my Fabergé eggs, my one-of-a-kind DeLorean. Yeah.
Right.
Just inventing stuff on the list. Yeah. That's what I think the lawyer's like, opportunity.
There are people that just live in a totally different universe sometimes. Yeah. This guy, we saw the report that came out that he had withdrawn $1.6 million from an ATM. From an ATM over 4 years. Like the dude was walking around with so much cash.
Yeah.
Or at least drugs paid for by that cash.
Yeah.
And then hundreds of thousands spent on, quote, various women. Was in the tax filing.
Various women. Is that a deductible expense there?
Apparently you can list in your taxes.
Yes. What line is various women? Yeah. How do I do that one?
And there was a separate line for adult entertainment, which was over another $80,000. Then the dude just gets to paint, and apparently that becomes worth $5 million.
Yeah.
What a life.
Yeah, I know. And I don't understand the idea of Hunter Biden, it's painting. The thing for me is I can't imagine either the actual value or intrinsic value contained therein.
I would absolutely buy a Hunter Biden painting. I'm going to see if I can. Let's see.
Yeah, please, if you can.
Well, I'm going to pull this up.
I'm sure it's on Etsy.
The talking point.
Yeah.
Just the talking point of being able to come on in. Guess who painted this? Hunter Biden. Dude, the talking. Yeah. So you just can't have some fun moments like that for your dinner party.
I got to share this with you. And it's kind of funny because the idea of the artwork and Hunter Biden's artwork is I've got a long-term friends of mine, a couple that are both in radio for a long time, worked with both of them for years. And I don't want to out them because some people would recognize some of the names involved, and not former or current talk show hosts here on KNUS, just to know that one. But that the two of them as a couple, he has been retired for a number of years, and he has gotten into painting. And he's really enjoying it. And he's kind of going through and experimenting with some things. But when you go over to their house, you have to be really, really careful. Because if you compliment any of his paintings too much, he gives them to you.
What's wrong with that? But you get a piece of painting, right?
It's kind of awkward. What are you going to do with it? It's not that good.
And then every time he comes home,
he wants to know.
Comes over, you got to put it back up.
Exactly. I've got to remember to put it back up on the wall every time they come over now, and I can't do that. And again, I appreciate, and he enjoys it, and I like it, and it's not my thing, and so it's really hard. I go over and I visit them, and we're hanging out, and I can compliment the paintings and his work up until a certain point. And then you can't do any more because he will just hand them to you. But I guess in Hunter Biden's world, you're just like, no, pay me for it.
Is it like the middle school kids that draw stuff all awkwardly, and then you just kind of feel like you have to compliment them?
He's more in the idea. It's just about the era of like sophomore art class. It's kind of where he is at. But he started at the middle school level.
Dude, somebody has, I guess you can build accounts on artpal.com.
Okay.
And someone did Hunter B Art. And so you can buy a print. Obviously they're reprinting it for like $100, but they use the selfie he took with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We need for the Christmas, you got us aprons that had our faces all over them. We should get something that has Hunter Biden's face like that all over it. Yeah, we should wear that for the polar plunge.
So there you
ridiculous.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy to figure this out.
No, but
how to buy Hunter Biden's paintings.
But the other part is I can't figure out the why behind it. It's for me, even if it was something like I can see somewhat of an intrinsic value into something like a George Bush painting because former president. I can see that. But
those are weird.
Oh yeah, they're very weird. But at least it's a painting from a former president. Instead, you're like, hey, here's my painting of the drug-addicted son of a president. What? Why is that? Why don't you give me something that's painted by, the person that cleaned the White House for a while? Why don't you get someone, this is a painting that is done by Joe Biden's car mechanic. The hell? Why do I?
Jason in Denver, Hunter Biden's painting of dogs sitting around a poker table all smoking crack. Is a masterpiece. Did he actually do that?
No, I don't know.
I don't think he did.
I think that would be great. No, that would be fantastic.
Hunter Biden's painting.
Yeah,
that good. But
the weird
apparently
part
there's
is,
a gallery, and then you try to click on the gallery paintings, and it goes to
a drug dealer. It says, how much do you want? Yes. And the weird part is, it's got this whole other thing. When Hunter went through his winter phase, it was really weird as far as the amount of white powders and things that he used. I'm just teasing. I don't know.
What a world. 1.6 million withdrawn from ATMs, hundreds of thousands spent on various women, another 180,000 spent on adult entertainment, and then you get to paint, and then people give you millions of dollars for your paint. What?
How cool is it to be a child of a parent that is so famous, that has reached that level of fame and fortune in our society, that just by being their progeny, just by having some of their genetics, you're allowed to paint and people will pay you for it and pay you a lot of money, not just pat you on the head and hand you a lolly. They're like, no, you're absolutely an artist. What the hell you are?
Well, unfortunately, about 200 pieces have been lost to history for all time. Hunter Biden's artwork worth millions of dollars destroyed in the LA fires.
And now Jeff and I, to honor that, will take a moment of silence. Okay, that's enough. What else do you want to talk about?
All right. Coming up next, we'll give you some of the latest updates on this Arctic blast coming in. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
See how I said Arctic? This is Denver Stock Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. A man who killed an illegal migrant on a New York City subway after the group of migrants tried to rob him will not face any charges. The 69-year-old homeless man, who was sleeping at the time he was attacked, stabbed two of the migrants. ICE has confirmed that at least 3 of the suspects are illegal, including the migrant who was killed, 37-year-old Stalin Moya of Ecuador. Moya has been arrested multiple times over the last year for numerous different crimes, including felony assault, felony robbery, and criminal possession of a weapon. The incident happened just hours before an illegal migrant from Guatemala allegedly set a woman on fire on a subway in Brooklyn. Prosecutors decided not to prosecute the man after former Marine Daniel Penny was acquitted in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely on a New York City subway. The U.S. Social Security Administration has been able to stop and recover more than $31 million in improper Social Security payments that were made to dead people. The recovery comes after Congress gave the Department of the Treasury temporary access to Social Security's full death master file for 3 years. The Treasury projects that it will recover more than $215 million during its 3-year access period. More than 50% of Americans say that Joe Biden will be remembered as below average or one of the worst presidents in U.S. history.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Wayo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Some sad news. Bob Uecker.
Yeah, that's right. That's sad.
Just a bit outside from Major League. He was the caller on Major League,
Yeah.
famous baseball player, great personality. Oh, that's sad news.
And yeah, he was a character, and that's always sad that someone that has that kind of like the Dick Vitale loss. It's like someone that occupies a certain place in pop culture and sports and history, and he was a character that once you heard that just a bit outside, you knew the reference, you understood who he was, and it's an important cultural touch point, but disappointing and sad.
Yeah, 90 years old. 90 years old. Good
nice
long
job.
life. Bob
Yeah,
Uecker.
that's fantastic.
That's sad. Go watch Major League. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, go watch that one. What's your favorite sports movie? And it's
Oh boy.
I mean, do you have
I mean,
one?
I go all over them. I mean,
Yeah.
Remember the Titans is great. Chariots of Fire is great. I just love the inspiration. Miracle on Ice. I could watch that.
Yeah.
I could watch Miracle on Ice. That last few minutes of the Miracle on Ice, that Disney
That is
movie
really good.
Is, when they're pulling it all together.
Yeah, that's really good. Longest
beating
Yard's
the
good.
Russians.
Yeah. Ever watch Ladybugs?
Yeah, that was filmed behind my parents' house.
Yeah.
At St. Mary's.
Yeah, the transgender soccer movie. Remember that one with Rodney Dangerfield? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Not so good.
We've got an Arctic blast coming in over 114 hours below freezing. KDVR is reporting. All right. It's heading to Colorado. Here's the timeline for this. All right. Clouds build during the day on Friday. Temperature drops around 45 degrees. Then the weather will shift. Pinpoint weather team is saying Friday will be in the 40s, but clouds and winds will build, leaving possible light snow after sunset on Friday. The temperatures will drop into the teens overnight on Friday. The snow showers are expected to last throughout the night and into Saturday morning. This is for Denver. We live in the Palmer Divide, so you just take everything and times it by 2. That's what you get. It's like 2 inches here in Denver, 4 inches in Palmer Divide. Negatives over the weekend. While the snow should wrap up midday on Saturday, the cold stays. KDVR expects highs on Saturday to remain in the teens with a light breeze around 8 miles an hour. Then the temperature will drop as the sun goes down, leaving Denver with negative overnight temperatures and extra clouds on Sunday morning. Highs into the teens on Sunday with light snow after sunset. Snow will linger into Monday morning with more negative lows. Fortunately, most kids don't have school on Monday. I'll have it off with the MLK holiday weekend. And then Monday is expected to be the coldest day with single-digit highs and overnight lows in the negatives. Again, Tuesday will warm up, but not by much. Temperatures will stay below freezing into Wednesday morning. In total, the KDVR expects freezing temperatures to last from 6 p.m. on Friday until Wednesday afternoon. Holy cow.
That's a lot. That's cold.
That's really cold.
That's real cold. That's
so we've got lots of animals, and for us, we are in preparation mode for all that.
How are you?
You got to make sure that you get lots of straw, lots of water, lots of food. Keep all the doors to the barn shut, move all the animals inside, and then you just lock down and hunker down.
Ooh, geez. Yeah, for me,
and then there's a lot of cleaning after it.
I bet. The thing for me is living in Colorado, that if it's cold without snow seems pointless. That just seems like punishment. That because if it's going to get cold, then give me something for it. Let me have the snow. Let me have the part of enjoyable part about it. Don't sit there and just give me the cold and don't do anything with it.
Do you do anything special in these, or do you just go about your lives and you're just like, it's just a little bit colder?
No, just a little bit colder. Not that much different. I mean, the only thing really is understanding. Our dog is older, and so then her joints are going to be a little bit harder to move around, and she's going to have to, it takes her a little bit of time outside. And sometimes she has to be persuaded that, yes, she can go outside to go use the restroom. That's about it. And I also will sometimes, depending on this, the ambient temperature in the house, I might increase the amount of time that the heat lamps are on for the reptiles, just because it's not going to get cold enough for them to really worry about it. And I've even got one snake right now that's burmating. So she won't worry about it at all. But just the idea of how far that temperature is going to dip when their lights go off during the overnight. So I'll just check the temperatures probably the first night and see what that looks like. And then I might just increase the amount of time that the heat lamps are on during the day anyway. Right now they're on it's like a quarter cycle where they get some light in the morning and then they've got a break in the middle of the day, and then there's some light in the afternoon to the evening, and then it breaks overnight. So that's what they're on right now, but I'll probably adjust that a little bit.
Iggy pointing out, look, man, this is just stock show weather. Stock show's here. It's cold.
It is
be
cold
ready
during
for
the stock
that.
show. Yeah, it is.
6704 pointing out that Dick Vitale is still alive. I don't think you mentioned that he had passed. I think you were just talking about him being
cultural icon.
Cultural
that's
icon.
I'm talking about cultural icons. I apologize. And if I did speak and it made it the impression that, I'm sorry. That wasn't the intent. It's just that idea. That was the first person that popped into my mind, that is that cultural icon that creates a persona larger than life. That was just the first one that popped up. Because again, it was euchre, and I'm in the sports world.
Yeah.
I could go with Madden would be another one that was able to create that, and you got a few of those. Yeah. And
So
then
good.
if we get into kind of the more slimy side, you can go to Jimmy the Greek and other stuff. That's not as much fun.
The
George Michael
story
Storks
of
machine.
Madden as a video game is crazy. That documentary is
yeah.
awesome to watch.
That is nuts to think about. Yeah.
All right, we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill, at this point, do you see any of these potential nominees for Donald Trump running into any serious resistance?
Oh, I don't know. I was disappointed in some of the Bondi question and answers. I thought there were some opportunities there, especially around stolen election. I think there were some opportunities to make hay there that the Democrats left on the table. I also think they were misplaced in their arguments against Hegseth. Kash Patel is the one that I think has the hardest time right now. Hegseth and Patel, and are the two that I would be worried about the most if I'm looking at confirmation. And I do think Tulsi Gabbard is going to run into some headwinds just based on some positions she's taken in the past. And I think that the Democrats are going to be mad she's no longer on the team. And so I think they're going to try to score points. However, I believe that the Democrats are going to do it ineffectively. I don't think they're going to be able to really land any solid punches against Gabbard because they're going to take it too personally. They're not going to view it as more of an intellectual exercise and be able to erode her credentials.
Democrats and intellectual.
Oh, I think they're doing it personal.
Really don't always line up.
No, I think they're doing it personal, just like they did with Hegseth, and that was a mistake.
So yesterday was John Ratcliffe, Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio, Chris Wright, Russell Vought, Scott Turner is today, along with Lee Zeldin, Doug Burgum, and Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary. I see batting 100 so far. I think DJT's getting the team he wants.
Yeah, and there's part of me that
ready to make America great again.
And there's part of me that thinks that this should be the Caligula rule, that you get to appoint who you want, because historically we have no proof of it actually happening, but historically the story goes that Caligula felt that the Roman Senate was so ineffective he wanted to appoint his horse as a senator to prove they are ineffective, but also to prove his power that he can get what he wants. And so if that's the issue, if this is the Caligula rule that the emperor gets to appoint who they want to those power positions, great. That's fine. I can play by those rules, but guess what? I don't want to hear anything from either side questioning a nominees or their background or their qualifications ever again. I don't want to hear that ever. Evidently, all this talk that we've had about qualifications and ability to do the job has been irrelevant.
Advise and consent
It's been irrelevant.
rules within the Senate. Tomorrow, Kristi Noem is up. We'll be covering all this and more. If you missed any part of the show, go to 710KNUS to download the podcast, 710KNUS.com. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is KNUS.